like a retirement home up front. Not even gonna talk about the purple hair. Saddam Hussein.
So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America?
Good one. Good one. Listen, guys, the stock market is down, okay? We've completely destroyed diplomatic relations with several countries, but hey, it's called the Gulf of America now. Listen, that is a win. It's called the Gulf of America now. I care.
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
How you're expecting them to join you over that? This guy's not even alive, dude. That's a corpse. That is not even a person.
Every day my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid.
Why? 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 What the fuck? Wait, hold on. Am I schizoing out right now? That's always been there, right? The fucking what is it called? The fasce? A fucking Isn't that's literally the Italian, that's what the Italian fascists use? That's why they're called fascists? Right? Has that always been there? Yeah.
I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us...
I know it originates with Rome. Okay, I know it originates with Rome, to be clear.
Trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization.
Woo! Yeah, fuck health.
And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council. We ended all of...
We've decided to decline the Geneva suggestion.
Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction.
Unaffordable? Unaffordable? How have you made anybody's... What has become more affordable? Okay, and to be clear, I'm willing to give you credit. I know the eggs are not your fucking fault, even though you guys would blame Biden for that. I know the eggs are not Donald Trump's fault, okay? You can't help what's going on with the birds, okay? Probably Fauci... No, I can't make that joke. YouTube's gonna take it very seriously.
To unshackle our economy, I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first term.
Wait, why? That's such a broad... It depends. It should depend on the regulation. You shouldn't just, like, do that for the hell of it. He's going the free market route. Market regulations, it depends on the fucking regulation. But yes, we need those. We need those. Who was the last guy? Who was like the most free market president before Trump? If I remember correctly, wasn't it like Coolidge or something? And isn't that like one of the contributing factors to the Great Depression?
And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either...
Listen, you can't point this out without them doing the, oh, so you're saying orange man bad thing. Okay, from an unbiased perspective, let's say I love Trump. Let's just say that for a sec. What is the point of like unblended orange foundation? What does this achieve? It's like, I mean, you could see the line where it ends. You like what? Talk about orange man, whatever, hilarious. But like, why? What is the point of this? Why?
show up for work in person or be removed from their job.
I mean, this lighting just really like helps you see how bad it is. You could just see where like the line ends.
And we have ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president...
Okay, if you tell me to open my mouth one more fucking time, you're spamming the same thing over and over and over again because you have some like gay fetish. It's insanely annoying.
...is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good.
Listen, I'll give him credit where credit's due. I'll give him credit where credit's due. He's petty, but that isn't... I would say, if I were in his shoes right now, I would say that.
Okay. AIDS gang represent, okay?
End term limits. Trump needs to end Fauci's reign of terror on these bogus vaccines.
Okay, whoa.
They are causing people to get heart attacks at a younger age.
No, that's not true.
And vaccinations.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That is, I disavow. That was an accident. That is an example of what is not true. We're reading that out because that is an example of misinformation. Okay, everything you just heard is an example of misinformation. So all those things you just heard about are an example of misinformation. Vaccines are good for you.
Stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
Wasn't he literally tweeting out, truthing? What do they call it on Truth Social? Talking about the immediate deportation and arrest of illegal protesters on our college campuses. Sure, if you want to be like good faith about and like steelman it, you could say, oh, he's just talking about rioters. But like, he's clearly like specifically referencing the anti-Israel like protests and the anti-Israel protests that occurred on college campuses. One of like the only examples of a riot that I saw occurred at UCLA, and it was literally, even if I don't agree with the people protesting, like I have like a nuanced perspective, so I don't really agree with either of the sides that were there. But like pro-Israel people came in and like with masks and fucking bats and started beating the shit out of people, and they let the LAPD let them off. They didn't press charges. But like, what is an illegal, like in this context, what is he talking about? He says illegal protest.
And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official...
Thank you, Angel. You're appreciated.
And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America.
Woo! English!
I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Let's go. It's what I call like performative patriotism. This is the difference. Okay, this is the fundamental difference. Like, if you're an actual patriot, you're comfortable with criticizing your country, its history, its foundations, and aspects that should be criticized because you want it to be better, because you think it's great and is capable of further greatness. And there's performative patriotism where it's like the flag waving fucking like this kind of shit. This is like lazy patriotism. I call it lazy patriotism. That's what they do.
And likewise, I renamed for a great president, William McKinley.
For a great president, I have created the National Jefferson Davis Monument in Washington, D.C. My favorite president.
Mount McKinley again. Beautiful.
He keeps citing McKinley as like an example of like a president that loved tariffs and did tariffs really well. But didn't McKinley literally change his position on tariffs and back down before he was shot by a radical left-wing lunatic? Unironically, he was shot by a radical left-wing lunatic. But
Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government.
Tyrannical.
And indeed the private sector.
Get those people with weird wheelchairs out of the DMV. No longer will the days where you have to go and get a replacement social security card and you have to deal with somebody who is in a wheelchair. No longer will that have to happen.
Our military. And our country will be woke no longer.
No more woke. The stock market is collapsing in real time. Planes are falling out of the sky. The price of eggs has not gone down, and I know it's not your fault, but I'm gonna blame you for it anyway because it's exactly what you did. Exactly what you did to Biden. But like, yeah, dude, woke America is no more. Let's go, dude. Everything could be burning down around us, but the woke is gone.
We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired
AIDS gang
and promoted
represent, okay?
Aiden, what do you think of these Republicans that want to stop aid for Ukraine yet they want to keep giving aid to Israel? Do you think that shows a little bit of a hypocrisy?
Yes. 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 I would love to see them try to explain it. Well, excuse me, you have to understand it's a bit more nuanced. Meaning the Adelsons gave me $5 billion to my campaign. It's like, yes, that is of course a fucking double standard. If anything, sure, there are some strategic benefits for us to supply aid to Israel or whatever the fuck. But I don't think we should. And because I don't think the ultimate benefits we get from it are worth it compared to the cons. And second of all, I feel like I'm okay walking back my position on this if I'm presented with new information. But it seems like we receive even more benefits from helping Ukraine than we would from Israel. I could be off on that, but
based on skill and competence, not race or gender.
And also, why is he's specifying air traffic controllers and talking about DEI to like kind of like do this like promote this like narrative that somehow that's like responsible for what's been going on.
Brave and very powerful decision has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're only saying it's strategic because it's your people. I literally just said we have more interest in providing. If we're going to get rid of aid to Ukraine due to like the kickbacks of it or what we're not getting out of it, then we would be even more justified in doing that in the case of Israel. I literally just said I would prefer aid go to Ukraine over Israel, like times 1,000.
We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are
AIDS
only
gang
two
represent,
genders.
okay?
What if I want zero aid to Ukraine and Israel?
Well, I'm not going to stop you. You're entitled to want whatever you want.
Male and female.
Let's go! And when we listen, when we go and we annex Canada, no more of this Manchi nonsense. No more of this X on your passport.
I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports.
So I'm assuming there's going to be no more male polo players because that is a gay woman's sport. Men should not be doing things like polo. Should be fucking football and fucking basketball and shit.
3 years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury.
Whoa, is that even true? I'm not. Is that true? How do you get it? Wait, I'm not. Hold on, that's gonna look really bad out of context. But if you get hit in the, did that happen?
Partially paralyzing her right side.
What the fuck?
And ending her.
Who was she fighting? Gorilla Grodd? How hard do you need to hit a fucking what are we talking about? What kind of ball was it? I mean, I could believe it if it's like you're playing baseball and get hit right in the face with like a fucking pitch. Like, sure, I can see a conceivable scenario where that happens to you. What kind of ball are we talking about?
Her athletic career, it was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding.
This is like an issue. This is such like a fringe issue for me. It's like I don't care that he did this. Like I'm not gonna like but the problem I have with this is that it's going to be used to like seem like he's doing something. It's like he'll do like these like small wins to appeal to his fan base, or what would be wins in their eyes. And just like we'll just ignore like the much like broader fucking issues going on right now. This is just like this is not going to change. Like, sure, her life has changed, okay? Hopefully she doesn't have to play whatever sport she's playing with fucking Gorilla Grodd anymore, or Superman, or whoever the fuck threw a volleyball at her so hard she was paralyzed. But like, I mean, this is not really like the average person. Most people, like, this is going to affect a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of people. Wait, what is happening? Wait, why? What is going on? Wait, why is Chard banning everybody? Wait, Chard, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, no, that's an okay one to... Oh, you don't need to ban, like, anyone that says Israel... Okay, alright. You can ban people that, like, spam shit, like emojis or whatever the fuck. Not ban them, but time them out. But, like, this is a little excessive. A little bit excessive. I appreciate the spirit, though. I really do. Oh, time people out. Got it. Okay. Continue. Go back to what you were doing. Nope. You guys are doing good. You're doing good. No more will these right-wing lunatics infest my audience. These retards getting paralyzed by volleyballs. No longer will they infest my audience. Continue, Chard. Continue. You could just do like brief timeouts. It doesn't have to be outright bans.
And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours.
Whoa. Yeah, that's obviously retarded.
Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women. And it's very
That's
bad.
retarded, okay? I get it. I get the concern about this. If you were somebody involved in one of these respective sports, I feel like there are a lot of people that pretend to care about this issue to get an own over trans people, even though like barely any partake in like the sport of their. The fuck? It's the loudest slam of a door I've ever heard. The fuck was that?
It's $1 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it.
All right. No, Shard can return to what you were doing, Shard. You can ban the emoji spammers. It's so gay.
We're going to. We're also identifying shock.
If we hit goal on stream, I will give Tyrone
AIDS gang
mod.
represent, okay?
Juden, why do you want total Goyim death?
What the? Okay, I appreciate the $3. Thanks.
Levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors and people that we love rely on. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old.
How many?
Aged 100 million Social. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old.
I saw someone today. People were like, yeah, the oldest recipient is 115, but the oldest person in America is 114. And the fucking data, the data in question, was collected in 2021. And in 2021, the oldest person in the United States was 115.
It lists 3.6 million people
Obviously,
from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any
119
of them. I know some.
What year are you pulling the data from? Okay, I don't know. How old was the oldest person ever in the U.S.? Because what was his name?
AIDS gang represent, okay?
She was like 123
Honestly,
in France.
I wish he would talk about the economy more, but what do I know? I'm a dirty...
Okay, thank you so much for the $3. I wish you'd talk about the economy more. Why would he do that? He knows nothing about it. He just knows how to... Why would he need to do that when he could just give you, like, answers to, like, easy, like, token right-wing issues, so it can seem like he's getting a victory, and, like, not actually, like, talk about the things that are gonna, like, have change in anybody's life.
Some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people.
Yeah, okay. If that's even true, that's like retarded. Are they still registered? Are they still receiving check? I mean, obviously I don't get checks from Social Security, so I'm not super familiar with how the process works. But are these just people that were like still receiving and picking up checks?
People from ages 130 to 139.
Okay, I can believe that. Have you seen some of the people in the audience tonight?
3.5 million people.
I knew exactly who that was. The woman that just screamed that, that's like Virginia Fox. Very distinct voice. She sounds like a dying bird. I know by her voice, I know who just screamed that.
39.
That's Virginia Fox.
3.5 million people.
Oh wait, no, that's not Virginia Fox, because she would be back. It sounded like her, but she would be backing Trump.
From ages 140 to 149. And
that's not Virginia Fox. No, it sounds like her.
Money is being paid to many of them, and we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid, and nobody does, and it really hurts.
Dude, he's like trying to drag the time limit out to like fucking, he's like trying to extend it to 10 minutes to get his AdSense revenue. Like, how many times can you say the same thing?
Social Security, and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 100.
It's literally just because the data defaults to 150 as a placeholder. Yeah, I knew it had to be something like that. Listen, I could believe that if there was potentially like 5 cases of fraud where somebody is like claiming an exponentially old age. But I find it very hard to believe that there would be 3.4 million people that were actually claiming to be that old receiving checks from Social Security. I would bet my life on it. That's not happening.
50 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old.
Okay.
We have a
problem?
healthier country than I thought, Bobby.
No, he should have, if he wanted to make it funny, he should have taken a jab at like the Democratic members of Congress in the audience, the Democrat members of Congress in the audience. Because they look like that last bracket of alleged Social Security recipients. Oh my, can you imagine being like the one person on the Democrat side that's clapping?
Including, to finish,
I don't think they were Democrats.
1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229. One person between the age of 240 and 249. And one person is listed at 360 years of age.
Xylee Gets Real is entitled to Social Security benefits. What is the problem with that? Why should an American woman who has had a hard-working life, like Xylee Gets Real, at her ripe old age, not be able to receive Social Security benefits?
More than 100 years. More than 100
AIDS gang
years
represent,
older
okay?
than our country.
I can't believe Jews were kicked out of 109 countries for.
Oh, thank you for the dude. You are like, this is an obsession at this point. Okay, the jokes are very funny, but when it's from one guy the whole time and it's your whole life is Jews. Okay, the jokes are funny. The jokes are funny. But they're not jokes with you, and it's every conversation I have with you. I would love to talk to you one day about the fucking weather.
But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors.
We're going to lower grocery prices. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? I'm not going to fucking tell you. Just trust me.
More money in the pockets of American families.
Wait, Tay, do you actually believe there's somebody that's 300 years old?
And today, interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time.
Just took a big, beautiful drop, just like the fucking, just like the Dow, just like the stock market. A big, beautiful drop. Just like the fucking economy.
The near future, I want to
just like the American Airlines flight from a few weeks ago.
To do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it.
We're going to do it.
With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the Gold Card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S.
You're not talking about successful people. You're talking about the mega successful that no person will ever achieve in their fucking... You're talking about giving a easy... There was some retard the other day that tried to claim to me...
AIDS gang represent, okay?
Hold on.
Okay, Aiden, fine. The weather is lovely today. The Jews control the weather to keep
Thank you so much for the dono. Appreciate it. It's true. It is true. I actually heard that at our last meeting. We're creating the fog. But someone was like trying to argue with me the other day that this guy is like, one, because he's a representative. He's a representative. I actually asked him to call in so we could talk about this. He's supposedly a representative of the working class, the bottom of society that is not represented. And it seems like when you break down his policies, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking commie here, but it seems like the people that benefit the most from Trump, and trust me, I know some very, 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 this is not evidence of anything, because these are just personal examples. I know the mega wealthy. Many individuals very happy at his election, that he got elected, hoping that income tax is replaced with tariffs, which, if my minimal knowledge is up to date, will mostly affect working class people and give breaks to the fucking rich. But like success for him, you get an easy pass into the immigration process if you're like a fucking mega wealthy, like everything he does is either a token issue to appeal to his dumb fucking working class conservative fan base that he views. I mean, they are a bit retarded, and his evil but not stupid fucking like top 1% buddies and voters. If I was evil with no morality and I was in the top 1%, I'd absolutely fucking vote for this guy. Absolutely. Because I would benefit from it. My life would get better.
Citizenship. It's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will...
Breaks to the rich are good for the economy. When did the role between Jews and Gentiles become reversed? Because it seems like that's what's happened with my chat, my audience. I'm trying to argue for better representation for the everyday Joe. And these fucking retards, just want representation for people that can somehow afford a fucking $5 million immigration easy pass. The guy who's like a well-educated engineer who has shown like relatively high success working within his own country that wants to start a life here should absolutely be able to. Success should not be measured by whether or not you can afford a fucking $5 million easy pass.
Have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs.
Don't call working class retarded. The working class is not retarded. The working class that votes conservative is retarded. Yes, I'm totally... It's like the same way I would react to like fucking Jews for Hitler, okay? Yes, they are retarded. You're retarded. Yes, I'm okay with saying that. I appreciate the farmers. I appreciate the everyday workers, but they have been conned by a fucking con man, and they've fallen for it. And yeah, it's a bit retarded.
Also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out. Number one, at the top school, as an example, being forced out and not being allowed to stay and create tremendous numbers of jobs and great success for a company out there. So while we take out the criminals, killers, traffickers, and child predators who are allowed to enter our country.
Colloquially speaking, working class is like an income bracket. Sorry, I was working class, not an income bracket. Middle class is an income bracket. I think if I remember correctly, working class refers to, colloquially speaking, because working class back in the day referred to something a lot more specific. Now it refers to people who are involved in certain job. When we talk about working class, we're typically talking about your everyday Joe making like the average or a below average income, working like a fucking a job involving some form of manual labor. Your farmers, your construction workers, your now back in the day we would call them the proletarians, but the proletariat class in America isn't really like blue collar workers, yeah.
Under the open border policy of these people, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the open border insane policies that you've allowed to destroy our country, we will now bring in brilliant, hardworking, job-creating people. They're going to pay a lot of money, and we're going to reduce our debt with that money. Americans have given us a mandate for bold and profound change for nearly 100 years.
Next time, give us a better choice so we might not vote for him. I agree that Biden and Kamala were not ideal choices. Am I satisfied with the Democrat Party on many things? Absolutely not. But this whole Biden and Kamala were bad, so let's vote for the worst option is like total cope. It's total cope. It means I don't want to read. I don't want to do more reading than I have to. So this is the American voter. I don't want to read about anything. I don't want to read about policy. I don't want to read about what people believe in, or what people have done compared to what their statements have been. I don't want to look into any of this shit. If you're funny and on a surface level make promises that I like and hit all the talking points that I like, I'm going to vote for you. And that's how politics works here. Seems like that's how it works in a lot of places. But the whole cope of like these weren't perfect options, so that's why we had to vote for him, is just like insane.
Years the federal bureaucracy has grown until it has crushed our freedoms, ballooned our deficits, and held back America's potential in every possible way. The nation founded by pioneers and risk takers now drowns under millions and millions of pages of regulations and debt. Approvals that should take 10 days to get instead take 10 years, 15 years, and even 20 years before you're rejected. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to...
Is that even true? Because when they say not showing up to work, there are jobs over the years that have just become increasingly more remote because with the, and this I think even goes back to like the 80s, but like with the rise of like personal computers in the household and then post-COVID, things like Zoom, et cetera, like jobs can work just as well being remote as they would in person. And if a federal worker is like achieving their job remotely or from like at home, I have like no issues with that. When he says not showing up to work, what I care about is, are they doing their job? Are they doing the thing they were hired for?
America again.
They're saying the people that didn't respond. Oh yeah, if you didn't respond, listen, I think it is like, I think like their reasonings for doing it are a little retarded, but like if you like, and they did give, listen, I'll give them this. They gave people extensions where extensions were due. If you didn't respond to that, I mean, you're a fucking, if we're talking just about people who didn't respond, then yeah, you're a retard. You don't deserve to keep your job if you couldn't respond. Unless you have a federal job that like involves, unless you have like a federal job that involves like, I don't know if there's any jobs that meet this criteria. Like the fucking nuclear crisis defense specialist or the fuck, where you only need to show up to work a few times a year and then couldn't respond for that reason. But I doubt that like is a representative of like the people that didn't know. If you couldn't respond to that, like you deserve to lose your job. I'm sorry. If you, like, that's like insane if you can't write back on that. But I don't think was it thousands of people?
And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of...
That is why my biggest funders are the Adelsons, and I'll talk about how Ukraine has a deadline to end their war, but Israel could take as long as it fucking wants and level the other side for all I care and be like protracted warfare for... I've been not giving them a time limit. I'm giving Ukraine a time limit. But yeah, we're draining the swamp because it is definitely not the swamp that got me fucking elected. That is definitely not why I had a meeting with big tech in San Francisco. That is definitely... You are the swamp. You are the swamp. You are the fuck... You and your friends are the swamp.
Rule by unelected bureaucrats are over.
No, obviously I'm not talking to you personally. Did you see Elon's Hitler cut? Well, listen, I can't shit on him for that because I used to part my hair to the side and then I got a barber that did a fucking fade. And it literally looked like a Hitler cut and I was like, bro, I am so cooked here. But it's like, it really, how much it looks like a Hitler cut depends on your head shape, but it's actually a pretty common hairstyle. It's a pretty common hairstyle. Show us your Hitler cut. I think somebody posted it earlier. If I can fucking find it. Where the fuck is it? Got it. I only could find this version of the image. And it looks very gay. So please, this is one of the worst pictures of me ever, but I'm comfortable with laughing at myself, unlike some others. Okay? That is me. Somebody edited this image and people believe this is a real woman. That is Augie RFC. That is Augie RFC. That is not. What is the context of that image? Why are you standing like that? Genuine question. Because we were taking a picture and I'm like, how can I look like as awkward as fuck? But for those of you that don't, like, believe, this is me slouching. I'm slouching forward. For those of you that, this is Augie is half my height. Augie is half of my height. Just, like, for those that don't believe.
And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that.
You look scary. I know. That's why I did that. I have a really good death stare. I have a really fucking good death stare. I wanted to make the image look awkward, so I did my death stare. I've known I had one for a long time after an offhanded comment that one person made that has stuck with me for life, so.
But I know this group is going to be voting for the tax.
I think I'm taller than Augie. You are. Almost anyone is taller than him. He's like Napoleon. He's like Napoleon if Napoleon wasn't average height for his time. You made it cringe now. No, you made it cringe by calling it cringe. There was nothing cringe but anything I just said until you decided to call it cringe. So write me a 2-paragraph explanation of why it's cringe or you're banned for life. Dude, is my neighbor having sex? Dude, my landlord is so fucking lazy. He, like, basically took, like, one apartment and wanted to, like, make it 2. So he built, like, the cheapest partition he could afford. And you just can hear everything. Everything. There is a part of my floor that is being held together by fucking tape. By fucking tape. And that's how it was when I moved in.
Thank you. It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief.
Replace it with tariffs, permanent income tax cuts.
To Americans hit especially hard by inflation. I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits.
These things... These are all great things, what he's just mentioned. But the reason he's doing it is because these are things like when you just like tally like maybe overtime, not so much, but tips at least. Like these are concessions he can make so he can look good while like giving like grossly disproportionate benefits to like the top 1%. These are like comfortable concessions he can make to keep everybody happy.
For our great seniors.
I'm still, don't get me wrong, even if his intentions suck, I'm still happy that he's doing no tax on tips, but at the end of the day, if what I understand is correct, by the way, and I don't claim to be the most politically literate, is his end goal not to like replace income tax with tariffs, which will affect your everyday Joe and benefit in like the net loss, probably benefit your like mega wealthy. Trickle down economics, really? Is that what it's gonna trickle down economics? You're really in 2025 in my chat advocating for trickle down economics.
And I also want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America.
Yeah, so that's a concession he's willing to make because, sure, you have Dodge, you have Ford, but like, what's the most popular car brand in America? Okay, Ford, so it is American. Okay, so that would affect, okay. But like, what is like your cumulative amount of Fords sold in like comparison to like your cumulative amount of like international cars? Versus domestic made. Okay, nope, more cars, okay, yeah, more cars are imported to the United States than are made domestically. So he can make this concession because it's not this is not going to be applicable to the majority of people.
And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen that.
Venus flytraps, chrysanthemums, whatever the fuck they're called. Plants all over the place.
That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely
We
boom.
are putting 100% tariffs and a military blockade on Liberia.
Majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will.
You're just making shit up now? What am I making up?
Will be building massive automobile.
It was a joke because he said plants. It was a joke. So then I said plants are going to be opening up. So then I said Venus flytrap. It was a stupid dad joke. Okay, it was a retarded dad joke. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'll remember to put a slur at the end of it so you can find it funny with your super complex humor.
Plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world. And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country.
I think it will. I truly think it will, but just for none of the reasons. Listen, I got an angel and a devil on my shoulder. I want Trump to succeed and make life better, but he's won. Okay, there's nothing I can do to change that. So I want him to make life better. I don't think he's going to do that. I'm obviously going to root for whoever's the president because I want the best outcome. But I think it's going to be a shit show, and when it is a shit show, let's just say my election night stream is going to age very well, very well. A lot of I told you so's. Stand back, stand by, I shall be vindicated.
In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025. And it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the
Trickle down. Yeah, that's going to work, dude. Trickle down economics. We're just waiting for it to the people are just not we, okay? I'm the one trickling down to you brokies. Okay? But they're waiting for it to trickle down. I don't know when that's coming.
AIDS gang represent, okay?
I think the redevelopment of cars in the US can be a good thing. Deindustrialization destroyed so many communities and is even a contributor to the opioid crisis. Investing in people is always a good investment. What do you think, Pudgy Aiden?
I'm not even gonna pretend to know anything about cars. I'm not even gonna pretend to know anything about cars. Uh, I mean, what is the argument for the bet? Like, how does it link back to the opioid crisis? It seems like the opioid crisis was unironically. Listen, I like this is one thing I like skepticism of big pharma. Where me and conservatives differ is they're skeptical of all the wrong fucking things. I'm skeptical. Listen, I'm gonna sound like a Scientologist here. I am highly skeptical of psychiatry. I am highly skeptical of certain various drugs, okay, and the for-profit system we have, and that seems to be a big contributor to the opioid crisis. Wasn't there a lawsuit or some shit that settled that? But how do cars link back to that? I guess I'm missing something.
1.7 trillion.
The opium crisis? No, the opioid crisis. No, this isn't fucking China. This isn't like China and like this isn't like fucking pre-communist China, buddy. No opium crisis. We're talking about opioid crisis. Big difference.
$1 billion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election and our economic policy.
People turn to drugs when the plants closed in the Rust Belt. So, yeah, wait. You could just claim that anybody losing their job contributed to the opioid crisis. But that's like a catalyst. I wouldn't say that's the cause. I'd say that's like the catalyst. The cause is the overprescription of these things. That's just like a catalyst. But then any adverse life event could lead to people turning to those drugs. That's not really I wouldn't say that's the cause.
Policies that people of SoftBank, one of the most brilliant anywhere in the world, announced a $200 billion investment. OpenAI and Oracle, Larry Ellison, announced $500 billion investment, which they wouldn't have done if Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment.
Drain the swamp, but trust OpenAI, trust Apple, trust the big companies. What swamp are we draining, buddy? What swamp is being drained?
Tim Cook called me. He said, I cannot spend it fast enough. It's going to be much higher than that, I believe. They'll be building their plants here instead.
Can the AIDS gang president give us a quote on the I'm going to say it right, Donovan harem of underage women? It's so hot in here, I got swamp. I'm sorry. I haven't heard that expression in a while. Can he drain my swamp ass? Is crazy. No. So that is a big issue, and I'd like to see Trump address that tonight. The fact that lyrics is like encouraging or normalizing 20-year-olds being man children that have been unable to move on from their high school years and continue to do this like gay little emo aesthetic. I think that is a big problem, and he needs to leave those kids alone.
Instead of in China. And just yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor, the biggest in the world, most powerful in the world, has a tremendous amount, 97% of the market, announced a $165 billion investment to build the most powerful chips on Earth right here in the USA.
And in turn, we promised not to let Xi Jinping invade. Dude, if I were Taiwan, I'd be holding over dominance of semiconductors for dear fucking life, not just for economic reasons. That would be like I feel like that's like a guarantee of my independence.
And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars
Dude, so some retard, and he's a regular in my chat, but he was arguing with me how the CHIPS Act was Trump's idea. The CHIPS Act was Trump's idea, and Biden stole it. Because he was saying, like, he thinks it's good to, like, invest in, like, domestic production of semiconductors or whatever. And then you bring up the CHIPS Act, and he's like, yeah, that was Trump's idea, and Biden stole it from him.
And it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them.
Take credit when it's beneficial. Put it on your opponent when it's not. Dude, by the way, Biden is going to be living in these every single fucking time I hear these people talk. Biden is living rent free. I know he was the former president. But like, dude, Trump is like stuck Trump is like stuck with memories of Biden and Clinton. I mean, the other day meeting with Zelensky, he's like, Russia, Russia, Russia. Remember that? What a hoax. It's like, move on.
Was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people, and they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to.
Use the money for anything you want. Drive down Figueroa, go pick up yourself a nice whore tonight.
Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you. Because those goods that come in from other countries and companies, they're really in a...
Dude, what is the farmer gonna say after the illegals are deported? After the illegals are deported, and he has to actually pay his employees livable wages. He can't use cheap foreign source labor. Price of groceries skyrockets. What is the farmer gonna say? He has to increase the price for the consumer. What is the farmer gonna say then?
Bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected.
Didn't he suggest nuking a heart? There's no way he said that.
They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our America.
I don't think all farmers are brown, but what is it in the United States? Like, isn't it like 40% of farmhands are like illegal immigrants, and most of those illegal immigrants are coming from South America, Latin America?
American farmers, the tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it.
We wouldn't have stats on that, Aiden. Are there not literally stats on that? There are ways you can gather statistics on that kind of stuff, and rough estimates. That's why you have a margin of error. You would absolutely have stats on that. There is quite literally stats on that. There are several stats on that.
He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases, and we were doing great. But
what do you mean? That's what a retarded comment. We wouldn't have stats on that. Why would we not have stats on that? Why would we not have stats on that? What retard typed that out?
Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers, but our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen. And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and
USDA, that's my source. USDA, Economic Research Service. The Center for Migration Studies of New York. I have to look into that one. I don't know if that one's reliable. Just look up what % of farm workers are undocumented immigrants, and you will see immediately several stats that pop up. These are estimates, by the way. That's why you have a margin of error. But
steel, because if we don't have, as an example, steel and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, we just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama, Jeff Denard.
who?
Has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raised 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster children. So great, Jeff.
Oh, it's nice. But who is he? Like, why? No, it's good. It's good. Let's go, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you, Jeff.
Who's that? Who's that? Who's that?
Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little...
No, I mean, I know he's a good guy, but, like, what did he do to get here? I don't know, like, who is he? Who is he? Like, is he, like, involved in politics or something? I'm, like, just a little confused, like, why he's there.
Disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh.
Yeah, I know his name is Jeff. That's obviously not what I'm fucking asking.
And look where Biden took us, very low, the lowest we've ever been. Jeff, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to recognize
for what?
Another person who has devoted herself to foster care.
Are we just I mean, that's great. He's a steelworker. He's helping kids in the community as a firefighter. So no, actually, thank you for that. But I guess it's like, why? Who is this guy? I'm just like confused. Like, there's, okay.
Community. She works so hard on it. A very loving person. Our magnificent First Lady of the United States.
Fuck this bitch, bro.
Melania's work has yielded incredible results, helping prepare our nation's future leaders as they enter the workforce. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative. Elliston.
Okay, who is dude, I don't care. I want to hear about foreign policy. I want to hear about foreign policy. I love Jeff. Okay, he's a steel worker. He's a great guy. Haley sounds great too. But it's like, what? I don't want to hear about. Like, I want to hear about foreign policy. I want to hear the. I'm sure the Jeff situation is very interesting. But who is he? What is going on?
And I want to thank Tom Homan.
Who is Tom? Who are these people? I don't want to hear about Tom. I don't want to hear about Tom. Here's Tom, the Secret Service. Bought a Dunkin' Donuts coffee off of him this morning working at the register. He was hitting a THC cartridge. THC, have you heard of it? While working very hard. We love you, Tom.
And Christy, I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you. What a job they've all done. Everybody.
A job. Yeah, these are people with several jobs. So we're just bringing people who have jobs. We're just bringing people who have jobs.
Patrol, ICE, law enforcement in general is incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement.
9/11 was bad. 9/11 was bad. I agree with that.
Last year,
I swear to God, if he brings up like one more random shitter, I'm gonna lose my mind.
A brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Lakin Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Lakin was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Lakin was stolen from us by
That's horrible. What happened to her is horrible. She deserves to be here. She did not deserve to get... I can get behind this. Murderers and rapists are bad people. Okay? I can get behind this. I'd even say we need to put them in prison. Okay? That's something we can all agree with. Okay? So... But, like... What... I mean... I didn't need to sit here and, like, listen how murder and rape is bad. I don't care. It wasn't a confirmed Riley was buying drugs and compared to... I never saw anything about that. I'm not going to... Unless I see evidence of that, I'm not going to reiterate that. I don't even think that's the case. But even if she was...
gang represent, okay?
Not deserved. What happened to her is horrible.
You have become Larix. You were live yesterday for not even 2 hours. Your streams are shorter and shorter, and soon you will be doing nothing but HOI 4 streams. Also get the goat off screen. You're a drama YouTuber. Stop doing politics. Aiden, stop doing.
Stop doing? Okay, I'll stop. Did you see what she was wearing? I don't... But it's like, why do I give it, like, not, obviously I care, okay? I don't think people should be killed in such a at all, or in such a, especially such a brutal fashion. And listen, I have an unpopular opinion. I think the murderer should go to prison. That's just me, though.
Savage, illegal alien, gang member, who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's...
Dude, why is Isu and Dust Bunny? Why are they beefing? Listen, I've been hearing a lot of comments about... Listen, Isu's been a regular chatter, a regular supporter of mine, albeit I've not seen how Isu behaves in other chats. But there are people out here saying that Isu is apparently spineless.
Open southern border, and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration.
Yes, there's always going to be people around you, and some of those people might be murderers.
He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Lakin's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren.
Oh my, dude, this is disgusting. He doesn't give you don't give a fuck about her. You don't care about her. This is obviously, no shit, I don't need to tell you that. He obviously doesn't care about her. But it's like, he's like parading them around like props. Here's the family of the raped and murdered girl. Here's her mother of the beautiful raped and murdered girls. Please stand up. It's like, you don't care about any of this. It's a fucking prop.
Lakin's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why.
Beautiful girl that was raped, murdered, dismembered, and beaten to death. And here's her mom. Welcome, Mom. Huh? You don't care, dude. You don't give a fuck about. These are props for you. These are little props for you.
The very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's very strong.
The what?
Your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety.
So arresting people who commit crimes? Yeah, I think the law should apply to... I think if you're here illegally and you murder somebody, I think you should be detained. I think that's a good idea. Did he just describe sending them to jail? How much is TTS? TTS is $3. Is he just describing jail?
It's a very strong, powerful act.
A powerful act? I'm sure that's obviously not what the act... That had to have entailed something else, but...
It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley.
And when we put Juan and Jose and Maria in a cage and send them to an El Salvadorian prison, just remember it's being done in your beaten daughter's name, who I care about. You don't care!
Thank you very much. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration
Sweeping? Sweeping? He admits it.
Down in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you.
When did we start recording that? I don't think that's true. I don't even think that's true.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But
It's a great border bill, incredible border bill. But of course, the guy who doesn't want people to get in, let thousands upon thousands come in by calling up his buddies, getting the border bill crushed, because he knew that if his one defining issue was lost, there would be no reason to elect this fucking maniac into office.
Turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Which one of these? This guy, unless I'm confusing it. Whoa. That's a weird looking tie. But what is this guy's name again? Somebody tell me. I forget this. What is this dude's name? It's the tie. It's a weird looking tie.
Thank you. Joe Biden didn't just open our borders, he flew illegal aliens over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, buckled under the weight of the migrant occupation and corruption like nobody's ever seen before. Beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America.
I don't feel liberated. This is a based sign, okay? This is a base. I don't feel very liberated. Very based sign.
But there still is much work
AIDS
to
gang
be done.
represent, okay?
When the kid's lifted, you can't hear it, but they're actually trying to auction him off to rich Americans. The camera caught them in the act, so they had to play it off.
When the kid is lifted, you cannot hear it. Who? Am I missing something in that statement? Like when the kid is lifted. Who?
Tonight is a woman I have gotten to know, Alexis Nungari from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged.
Let's go into detail about how she died. Well, we can't just say murdered. Let's go like into detail about the methods in which they were murdered and fucking brutally tortured with the family in the room.
This heinous crime are 2 illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration through their ridiculous open border. The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation.
AIDS gang
greatly.
represent, okay?
Alexis, I promised.
Hey bud, I really think you're one of the funniest streamers around. Keep up the great work, even though I disagree with you politically.
Well, Firebird499, thank you for the $3. Thank you, I appreciate it. Listen, if you have a good opinion on me, I'm sure you'll come around politically one of these days. And when you do, you shall be welcomed as a comrade.
That we would always remember your daughter.
Dude, Lumpy, that's insane. That's insane.
Your magnificent daughter. And earlier tonight, I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine
refuge
as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Officially in the same category. They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever.
Obviously, I'm not gonna be like, nobody gives a fuck that this girl liked animals. That's not what I'm saying. But it's obvious the only reason that she is being spoken about here is to, like, perpetuate this narrative, try and claim that there is something inherent to illegal immigration, when in reality it's just inherent. It's an arbitrary, like, category to assess murder because it's just inherent to people in general. And I've not seen, like, any evidence that, like, they have higher statistical murder rates than, like, the average population. So I'm like, we don't have data on that. Someone said that to me, and it's like, when you get arrested for murder, I'm pretty sure they know if you're undocumented or not, right? But it's like, I mean, this is just, it's very manipulative. It's very manipulative.
Thus this evening is a warrior on the front lines of that battle, Border Patrol agent Roberto Ortiz, great guy.
You want to talk about murder, and you want to just talk about, like, putting an arbitrary, like, even though murderers exist in, like, every cohort, demographic, arbitrary group you put around it, you could give me an example of, like, a chef that brutally dismembered somebody and go into detail about it. I'm not going to make a statement about, I'm not going to link chefs to murder, but, like, the disproportionate amount of murder is not what matters to these people. They just hear illegal immigrant committed a murder. Somehow this is related back to illegal immigration. But, like, wasn't there a Border Patrol agent that got arrested? And, like, I think he was, like, last year, stood trial. He, like, murdered and dismembered and killed, like, 5 women. And he worked for Border Patrol in Texas. What's going on? These people should still be with us, but a violent animal from Border Patrol murdered and dismembered 5. Where are their families, Donald? Bald, bald, bald. Dude, what a shiny head. That is the shiniest head I've ever seen. Do you think he, like, polishes it before he, like...
In January, Roberto and another
AIDS gang
agent were
represent,
patrolling
okay?
by the...
Aiden has the hugest nose. Nobody's nose is as huge as Aiden's nose. They've never seen anything like it before. They could never grow a nose as huge as Aiden's nose. The chewiest nose. It smells Fosse's fake vax a mile away. Stinky Knickers George Floyd.
Whoa, what the fuck? Why is okay. Okay. What the fuck? Thanks.
Rio Grande, near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too...
Anyways. What did this Firebird person say? Can you explain why America should import slave labor? First of all, the grossly underpaid illegal immigrants. That is not slavery. They're still receiving compensation in the form of existence in this country, even though it's under horrid conditions. But in their mind, it's better than where they came from. In some cases, though, they have no option, and it would be slavery because it's human trafficking, whatever. But they shouldn't. I agree with you, they shouldn't. So the ones here that have been working, that have not committed a crime, should be given full citizenship and be enabled to go work for the everyday American's wage. And we should disincentivize the importation or the importing people for the sake of underpaying them. But what I also want to do is be realistic here. And it's like, you can't on one hand advocate for like the overnight or quick rapid deportation of all illegal immigrants and then complain about grocery prices, because I don't know what you think is going to happen to grocery prices when you do that. Obviously, Glue explained this to me, and I did some looking into it, and it seems like this could work. It seems like more government subsidies into farming may be a solution to that, but subsidies and the government doing stuff doesn't seem like it's really like Trump's whole thing right now.
Nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them, Roberto saw that his partner was totally exposed, at great danger, and he leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the... You won't even believe it.
Aiden obviously knows politics. He takes psychology, of course. So obviously, the person commenting this is a conservative that is mad about what I'm saying. And unless you're not, and I'm totally misreading you. But if I'm not misreading you, they do this. You attack the source, not the positions, because you can't make an argument. AK, I win, so. Good one guy, Poop Swag. Good one guy.
And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns.
True. I agree. Murderers need to be arrested. We need to enforce the law.
In recent years,
we need to arrest murderers. That's something I can get behind.
Our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. Many jurisdictions virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the Constitution.
Dude, it never gets old. It never gets old.
Constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck. Good luck. Pam Bond.
Dude, I can't. Half of this speech has just been thanking people. I want no. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. Okay, some of these people, I'm sure we've all genuine reason to thank. But I doubt this is what the fucking American people care about. Besides, like, your surface level fucking conservative retard is gonna be sitting here. That's a great story. That's a great. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm not watching an interview. I'm watching a presidential address. Yes, you are. So you should be talking about the fucking country, issues of the country. You should use all of this time to go into fundamental issues that are relevant, that we all care about. The thanking people can happen on his Truth Social or at the end, maybe. But, like, I mean, just saying these, like, this has nothing to do with any of us.
Good luck. So important. Going to do a great job. Cash, thank you.
Great national speech bringing up Jane Blaine getting raped by Jose. Okay, good one.
Thank you, Cash.
Okay, we get it. We get it. We get it. We get it. Has he even done anything yet? Why is he even getting, this is like a participation trophy. He hasn't even done, what has he done yet? Okay, Pi, let's not. Please. Okay, I knew we were gonna get at least one of those. It's like...
They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it.
You already said that. You already fucking said that. He just said that. We already heard you say this. Talk about foreign policy. He already said this. He's just like, I'm running out of time. I mean, this is bizarre, dude. Does he have, like, dementia? Did he forget that he already said this?
Such a hard, dangerous job, but we're going to make it less dangerous. The problem is the bad guys don't respect the law, but they're starting to respect it, and they soon...
Lawbreakers do not respect the law. Wow, dude, that's my president.
...will respect it.
Really? I thought people that followed the law... Obvious... What? He's like trying to meet the word requirements of an essay.
Includes our great fire departments throughout the country. Our firemen and women are unbelievable people, and we'll never forget them.
Enough with the thank yous. I appreciate that you already thanked an individual fireman. I'm sure we also... That extends to all firefighters. Why are we doing this again? Are we gonna... I'd like to thank our sanitation workers. Now, here is a woman whose daughter was a sanitation worker that was brutally raped and shot with a cancer ray by an illegal immigrant from Guatemala. It's like, dude, we get it.
And besides that, they voted for me in record numbers, so I have no choice. One year ago this month, 31-year-old New York police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great officer, was gunned down at a traffic stop on Long Island. I went to his funeral.
I can't. It's sad. He didn't deserve... Listen, that's where I'm from. That's my fucking home. That's my hometown. Represent, dude. Okay? That's where I was born. Alright? So it really affects me. But, like, do we need to go over, like, every individual murder that's happened in the U.S.? He's dead. He's not coming back, and it's a tragedy. We shouldn't murder people. We get it. We got that when you referenced the first two murders.
His criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in...
Counter any of this, but he's not making points. He's saying things that we obviously agree with. The problem is, he's just doing that as filler, so he doesn't have to actually, like, talk about anything.
The seat next to him had 14 prior arrests and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service and...
What? Who?
Attended Officer Diller. He was... Had 14 prior arrests and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service.
Why is that?
When I met his wife and 1-year-old son.
Nobody ever thought Mr. McStabby Pants would be a knife murderer. His name was Killer? His name was Killer? Dude, get this guy off the streets.
Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much.
AIDS gang represent, okay?
What would you say to Trump if you could ask one question he had to answer? Nothing sexual. I am
Okay.
pretty sure he wouldn't be interested in you.
Okay, that wasn't where I was gonna go. I have to think about that one. One question? Yeah, you said it had to be one question. But then no, because it couldn't be. I need to be able to follow up, because with him, he would just give me an answer that would be that he would try to make as satisfactory as possible to myself or whoever was in the audience, and it wouldn't be honest. And I'd have to follow it up to call him out on the lie that he'd used to refute that, because I doubt he would admit any form of like wrongdoing. What would be a good question to ask him? What's your favorite book from the Bible? Did you see that clip? Everyone's seen that clip. Or no, do you prefer the Old Testament or the New? Or fuck, dude, voice crack. That was really bad. That was really bad. Do you for the Old Testament or the New Testament? He's like, both. I think they're both great. Equal. I'd say equal. Dude, I'm turning 20 in less than a week, and I'm still having voice crack. I'm so cooked.
Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest.
Ryan, your dad was a hero. Your dad was a hero, Ryan. Okay. Okay.
And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better?
Is this just like a strategy to not have to say anything? We're just like getting like random like victims of tragedies in the room, so we don't have to like say anything? I mean, this has been going on now for like half the speech has been just thanking everybody in existence. Some cases, thanking entire categories of people twice. What is going on? Why is I get it. I get murder is bad. These people, when they're heroes, tragic situations. I get it. Okay, but like the 80-minute applause, immediately moving on to thanking someone else who fits the same. I mean, I can't.
Our service members won't be activists and ideologues. They will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations. Secretary of Defense, congratulations.
Those who believe in woke nonsense like the Geneva Convention will be promptly removed from the military.
And he's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well.
The woke
I am pleased to
movement.
report that in January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years, and that all armed services are having among the best recruiting results ever in the history of our services. What a difference.
Are they getting better recruiters? Because I'm not going to lie, dude. The recruiters in high school, they're like fucking piranhas, but they're like, they suck. They suck. They always get a few. They always get a few. If you want to, no, listen, if you, I almost myself, I considered it. Joining the fucking sheriff force. I was directionless. Okay? I would not have lasted a day. But probably wouldn't have been eligible. But no, actually, because they're so desperate, you'll get a waiver for anything. But, let King Trump speak. Also, Aiden, can you stop calling women? Okay.
And you know, it was just a few months ago where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit anywhere. We couldn't recruit. Now we're having the best results just about that we've ever had. What a tremendous turnaround. It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country, and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job.
Is that... Okay. What has changed, like, so substantially about the military that they now love it compared to, like, a few months ago? Like, that would make them love it now? The Democrats will have an official response delivered by Senator Slotkin. Will you be watching that? Who the fuck is that? Is that like a Harry Potter character? Who? Who's delivering what? Oh, Alyssa. Yeah, we go way back.
We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father,
Call of Duty? Warzone?
grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy.
What are the Democrats gonna wait? Why? How are they doing? We're doing this again. What are the Democrats gonna respond to? Yes, Trump committed a logical fallacy when he said that the 11-year-old cancer patient should not have gotten cancer. It's like he doesn't want to say anything, so he's just filling it with like survivors of tragedies, so he could like make easily like agreeable statements. Murder, this person that got murdered shouldn't have been murdered. The person that did it should go to jail. Let me bring up like 2 examples of murder. Let me bring up a cop that died. That cop should not have been shot and killed. Let me bring up, I mean, at this, we've thanked half the country at this point.
Legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
Yeah, West Point.
But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. Woo! You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. Thank you. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason. As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA.
Woo!
Technology.
I don't even know what's, dude. I can't anymore. I can't take it. Is this Oprah? Yeah, that's what this feels like. It's just like, it's like a fucking, it's like you could put all this into a book, like people who have persevered through tragedy, and you'd have like a full-length book, okay, of like different story, like an anthology, whatever the fuck. It's like, I get it, man. This kid, good for him. He got into West Point. Very accomplished, more than I've accomplished. So I, you know, that's great. That's great. It's probably great that he was told that by the president. And honestly, that is a cool moment. I'd be okay if he put that part in and like maybe like 1 or 2 of these like examples. But like I mean, we've been going on now for half the fucking speech.
Just wasn't there.
The stock market closed. I mean, the stock market is plummeting. It's plummeting.
Not even close, but now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually.
Why am I so upset? Maybe it's because... Baby, why am I upset? I don't know. Is it the fact that the economy has been thrown off course and is set for fucking disaster, and we're sat here like talking about like how murder is bad? Could that be why I'm upset? No.
And other places they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it.
At our expense. But apparently, Ukraine, too long, funding them for too long. I see these retarded comments. Why do we have money for Ukraine, but not for the poor? And I'm like, dude, that's really insightful. I'm sure the poor want the fucking Javelin missiles that we sent to Ukraine. We'll get right on that. Give Javelin missiles to homeless people. When I made president, one Javelin missile per homeless person.
And the United States should have it too, right?
Should have it too.
Tim,
dude,
right?
I love the way this guy
They should have
talks.
it too, so I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships. We don't make them anymore very much, but we're going to make them very fast, very soon.
We need more ships. I agree. That's a good point he makes. It's a good point he brings up. Ukraine is most definitely not a lost war, and Israel already won Lamau. We're just stopping them from glassing the ashes. Yeah, Ukraine needs our support way more than Israel, but they're the ones we're cutting it. They're the ones for some reason have been taking too long, so we can't support them. The guy that screams "fight, fight, fight" is begging.
AIDS gang represent, okay?
Aiden, I used to volunteer building tiny homes for Habitat for Humanity, but I use these novelty dissolvable sugar nails. 6 months later I turn on the news and boom. 1 dead, 2 dead, 3 at a time, just gone. I flattened those dirty
Okay, thank you for... That's insane. Thank you for the $3... That's... I mean... Okay, can we not appreciate your money, but... Anyways, so, where were we? Basically, I just got thrown off course.
It will have a huge impact. To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming...
Oh yeah, the guy that screams "fight, fight, fight" is sat here basically telling Zelensky to stop fighting and concede his territory. It's like, it's such like a weak, like, yeah, just bend over, just concede, even though it's like not a war you've lost. It's like, okay, and you can say I'm misrepresenting it. Listen, I used to, if I remember correctly, I used to be a big Chomsky guy, and Chomsky actually said something, I'm pretty sure Chomsky said it was in Ukraine's best interest, right? Unless I'm misrepresenting him, you can email him, he responds. The wonderful Chomsky, great guy, but you can email him, he responds. But apparently it was his position that Ukraine should cede the Donbass to minimize harm. And I just haven't seen like evidence that this is a lost war or is going to wipe out everyone in Ukraine at like current rates of death. I don't think that this is like a war. Like, I would get that position of harm reduction if it was like estimations were made that the only way we can win this is if millions and millions and millions of people must die from going forward or whatever the fuck. But it's like, I haven't seen evidence that like continuing to hold the line will lead to some like insanely like sizable number of like deaths where it's like we need to just cede it now, even though we're not inherently losing. Dead Air Queeman? No, we love Quee. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. But apparently for no reason, a reason totally unrelated to Queeman, my viewership has skyrocketed. Very interesting stuff.
The Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
What did he say about Panama? Huh?
We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including...
No, he already said that. I think that is happening, though. They're dying out fast. Yeah, it's a fucking war. It's a war, but they're acting like continuing to hold the line hasn't this been like far more disastrous for Russia? Like when you're comparing like the size of their respective militaries. It would be Putin that could not keep this up forever. I'm certain the Ukrainians would probably have higher morale to continue fighting because it's their territory they have to cede. The Russians, if my understanding is correct, the Russians' morale will not last forever, and willingness to engage in this war will not last forever because there's not as much at stake for them, at least in terms of like potential defeat.
And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships.
All right,
It will have a huge impact. To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it.
Wait, huh? What does he mean by that? Didn't we have, if I remember correctly, didn't we have like a contract to cede it? So for those of you that don't know, if I remember correctly, at the end of the 80s, we held control of the Panama Canal, and Panama had this like dictator that we like supported called Noriega, who was like basically involved with like illegal drugs that were being shipped to the United States. And he started to get a little bit independent in the sense that like he was okay kind of encroaching on the US more and more, so we used that as justification to go invade Panama and depose him and whatever. Then we had a contract with them to give back the canal at some point. We gave it back, right? What does he mean reclaim it? Or is Panama giving us back the canal? Is any of this story true? Yes, we invaded Panama in the 1980s. The funny part is, we invaded Panama to arrest one guy. The fucking military comes in, and Noriega goes, and he flees and shelters in the embassy of the Vatican because you can't enter an embassy unless you're like Iranian protesters in the 1970s. You can't enter an embassy. So we get him out. We get Noriega out by blasting for 24 hours a day rock music such as Van Halen's hit song at the time, Panama, just on loop for 24 hours a day. And he's like, I can't take it anymore. So he comes out and surrenders it. He's like, take me in already. So then they go bring him on trial. Rip Noriega.
Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal.
That's a real story.
And a couple of other canals. The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others. But others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal. They died of malaria. They died of snake bites and mosquitoes. Not a nice place to work. They paid them very highly to go there, knowing there was a 25% chance that they would die. The most expensive project also that was ever built in our country's history, if you bring it up to modern day costs. It was given away by the Carter administration for $1, but that agreement has been violated very severely. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back.
Aiden, do you support Ukraine? Depends on what you mean by support. Do I support their efforts to stop Russia from taking their territory? Yes, absolutely. Do I support Ukraine's government over Russia's? Yes, absolutely. Do I believe there are some corruption issues in Ukraine? Yes, absolutely. Do I think that's relevant to Russia's invasion? No. Do you like India? I've never been. I never like say I like or dislike a group of people, but I have been very fond of Indians, which is why I never really I mean, a lot of groups have like stereotypes about them, and you're like, you know, but it's like Indians in particular. I was like, why do people not like Indians? Like, I never like got that one. I never got that one. I grew up around them, and they just seem to be like very like hardworking, academic people, good values, good food. So I'm fond of Indians.
Now we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong.
Aiden only met the westernized rich Indians. Wait, you mean to tell me that a developing country has the conditions of a developing country? No. No. Obviously, if Indians perform very well, and this is not just like I'm meeting a handful in the US, Indians, as an ethnic group, are disproportionately successful in the United States. And the race, if you're a racist, you're claiming there is something inherent to them as a people that makes them bad in some sense. But obviously, if Indians, once they leave India, all the criticisms that you apply to Indians within India all of a sudden disappear, then obviously it's not a problem with India or Indians. Obviously, it is a thing inherent to developing conditions in a developing country.
Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it. He got 100 votes. You know, he was approved with actually 99, but the 100th was this gentleman, and I feel very certain. So let's assume he got 100 votes. And I'm either very, very happy about that or I'm very concerned about it. But he's already proven. I mean, he's a great gentleman. He's respected by everybody, and we appreciate you voting for Marco.
Amazing logic. You're sarcastic, but you won't actually refute my point. Amazing opinion that you refuse to share because you have none. You just disagree with things, and you don't know why you disagree with them because you're a fucking moron.
He's going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. He's doing a great job. Great job. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland.
Oh no. Oh no. They're laughing. I did.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America.
They're not choosing.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it.
He's serious about this, isn't he? He's serious about this, isn't he?
But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it.
Why? Wait, why do we need... Why? What do we need Greenland for?
One way or the other, we're going to get it.
What?
And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before.
What? I know you're going to say it's a joke. It's not what he really means. What? Are we implying we're going to go annex a sovereign nation? What the fuck?
It's a very small...
Or not nation. I know Greenland's a part of Denmark. I know it's a part of Denmark. It's an autonomous territory of Denmark, like the fucking Faroe Islands, right? I mean, say nation. Sorry.
Population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security. America is once again standing strong.
Aiden, your mods are very thin-skinned. No, you stupid old decaying bitch. You're very thin-skinned. Tay Perks says the word black and you like recoil in fear.
Against the forces of radical Islamic terrorism. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan.
ISIS is bad. I agree. Donald.
Not that they were withdrawing. It was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice.
For a split second, he's actually here with us, folks, tonight in the room. Dude, I don't know why, but like a solid second, I just wanted that to happen. Stands up. They didn't like hear what Trump said, so he gets like an accidental round of applause. It's like, you're not supposed to be clapping for that, buddy.
And I want to thank especially the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous day for those 13 families who I actually got to know very well, most of them, whose children were murdered, and the many people that were so badly over.
Didn't Pakistan fucking... Okay, it's alleged. It's alleged. Some say they didn't know about it. Didn't they harbor bin Laden?
42 people.
At least they're... No, that was... No, it wasn't... No, it was Afghan... No, wait. It was... I don't want to be wrong about this. Yeah, it was Pakistan. I was gonna be like, dude, if this was Afghanistan, people are gonna be like, you're fucking retarded, dude.
So badly injured on that fateful day in Afghanistan. What a horrible day.
I know bin Laden fought in Afghanistan, and
incompetence was shown. That when Putin saw what happened, I guess.
Mods only have you are old. That one seems to really bother you. So I think the mods are actually gonna that's gonna be their tool of choice going forward.
As he said, wow, maybe this is my chance. That's how bad it was. Should have never happened.
And Aiden, you were pathetic. Wow, that old comment really got under your skin. I think we found. Why are you making everything about your identity? Okay, why do you always need to talk about your age? Okay, it's all about identity with you.
Incompetent people. I spoke to many of the parents and loved ones, and they're all in our hearts tonight. Just spoke to them on the phone. We had a big call. Every one of them called, and everybody was on the line, and they did nothing but cry with happiness. They were very happy, as happy as you can be.
They were happy, just like how they weren't happy when their children were blown up, and just like explains it in detail with them in the room. He's been doing this all night. It's like he'll have sort of the room he'll have the family of someone in a room who died of something, and then just like go into like horribly graphic detail. Then I'm just shocked after he says it the way he said it, then goes, and their mother's actually here in the room tonight.
Under those circumstances, their child, brother, sister, son, daughter was killed for no reason whatsoever. In the Middle East, we're bringing back our hostages from Gaza. In my first term, we achieved one of the most groundbreaking peace agreements in generations, the Abraham Accords.
Who's are? Well, I know some of them have dual American. Okay, I know some of the people, some of the hostages in Gaza. Sorry. I pronounced it R. Some of the fucking. She'll be back in 60 seconds. Please, God, no. You can listen. You can attack her with your words, not your banhammer. No, I know that some are dual citizens. I know he was a dual citizen, retard. I know he was a dual citizen. But he's not around anymore. Is anybody, he died? Are any of the current present hostages in Gaza Americans? And why do you say our like that? Because the broader hostage issue, barely, with the exception of like a handful of Americans that he wasn't even living here, right? And he was serving in their military, if I remember correctly. Like, yes, on a piece of paper, I'm kidding. I mean, sure, they're Americans, but like this is a conflict, but this is ultimately a conflict between two other peoples. And the only reason they were caught up in that conflict, and it's not saying it was justified at all. See these at the wait. Please, I thrive off hate. No, okay. So the hostage taking, absolutely not justified, absolutely horrific. But like they were taken as Israeli hostages. Yes, they also have like dual American citizenship, but weren't like all of these people like living there, based out of there, serving in their military. I'm sorry, are illegals like serving in the fucking are illegals serving in the Guatemalan army?
And now we're going to build on that foundation.
Sometimes, yeah, this is definitely pie on an alt. This is definitely pie on an alt. Your vast majority of illegals, your vast majority, I would love to see like any who came here illegally are still undocumented and then going back to their country to like fight in the military and then come back. I just don't think that really happens. I'm sure we can find like one example.
More peaceful and prosperous future for the entire region. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East. People have been talking about that so much lately with everything going on with Ukraine and Russia. But a lot of things are happening in the Middle East. It's a rough neighborhood, actually. I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight.
What?
Wounded in millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict.
The Russians were not needlessly fucking wounded, you retard. They're not needlessly wounded. They've invaded a sovereign state. And it's not it's not millions. It's obviously not millions. But like what do you mean needlessly? Yes, there was a need to fucking wound them. They were invading with weaponry. I don't think it's millions that have been wounded. Obviously not. Needlessly wounded Russians.
With no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense. With no security, with no anything.
Wait, I know the Russian conscripts who don't want to serve there are not at fault, but even when you're invading another country, even if you're there against your will, no, obviously we can't take the time to ask everybody if they volunteered to serve. They're still members of an invading army. So even if their reasons for being there were against their own will, yes, there still is a need to wound them because they are a part of an attacking enemy army. So even if they're not at fault, there is a need to wound these people. There's a need to wound an attacking enemy army. Regardless of why that army is attacking. I don't care if their mom got rectal cancer and their dad got AIDS and Putin like forced them personally at gunpoint into the van to go to the front line. Obviously, that would like affect my moral condemnation of them as a person, but that's not going to affect whether I think the Ukrainians are not whether the Ukrainians needed to shoot back or not. Obviously, the Ukrainians should shoot back when you have an invading enemy army.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
2016 reference. 2016. Dude, he's stuck there, dude. He's stuck there. He's stuck there. He's got nothing. He's got no new material. I'm disappointed. I thought, okay, at least with the Don coming back into office, at least even if the country goes to shit, at least it'll be entertaining. At least we'll have a comedy mail. But he's just like, it's gotten so dry since 2016. He's like reusing jokes. He's like, the jokes aren't hitting anymore. The insults aren't hitting anymore. They're like applauding him for like third grade insults towards reporters. I mean, he just lost the like fire. He's just like lost his fire. He doesn't even look like he wants to be doing this.
$2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans.
So tell Putin to fucking pull them back. Leave the territory. People shouldn't die. Leave. Fucking leave. If a fucking tough guy who wasn't a wimp would say to Putin, very simply, very plainly, expect to bury everybody you fucking throw at this country, regardless of why they're there, regardless of how old they are. If you're sending them in to invade sovereign territory, dig a grave for every single fucking one of them. And more and more and more and more will die the more you send until you have nobody left.
But I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending. And
yes, this is because Germany is like filled with a bunch of dude, this is the problem with Germans. When they get things right, they really get it right. And when they get things like, they're just like extremes. When they get things wrong, I mean, they really, really get it wrong. And if I remember correctly, they were on track to become like fully energy independent through the use of nuclear energy. And then the Fukushima incident happens where a fucking tsunami hits Japan, causes some sort of like reactor meltdown. So you get all this like nuclear like energy fucking fear mongering. And they get rid of all the reactors, which like powered like 60% of their country because of what happened in Fukushima. The problem is the only reason Fukushima malfunctioned, or there were several contributing factors, but the main reason is because it got hit by a fucking tsunami. None of your nuclear reactors are within a tsunami impact zone. So it's like this reactor malfunctioned because of a tsunami across the world. Let's just become dependent on Russia for oil. Let's shut down our reactors. And to this day, it is the most dumbfounding decision I've ever seen.
We've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is. And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with that.
Oh, he's so salty about that comment. In what world does anybody interpret that as a threat? I literally clicked on the Fox News YouTube channel and saw their comments today, and it's like, I didn't like when Zelensky threatened us. And it's like, bro, when did he threaten you? He's saying this conflict is happening on the European continent, and you don't feel the direct effects of it because you have an ocean separating you, but if you do not address this now, you will feel it. As in, Russia will come back, letting Russia do what it wants will come back to bite you in the ass, as in Russia will do something, not Ukraine will do something to you. This was the easiest fucking thing to interpret, and they somehow like perceive this as a threat. These people are like BPD as fuck.
And lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe has spent by billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. But that didn't happen. Earlier today, I received an important...
Has it not been working? Has it not shown like incredible efficacy at keeping the fucking... I mean, yes, the Russians have a stronghold in the Donbass right now, right? But like compared to like when I was retarded when the invasion first happened, I said this is gonna be over in a week. Ukraine is done. Ukraine is done, but I was ignorant back then. Is it not working how long the Russians have been fucking held back? What was that? That's a black screen.
Important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it.
Was that laughing? It sounded like it could have been.
At any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be
They're right. Really, they're ready for peace. We're ready for peace if you just give us the territory that we came here for. The whole reason we invaded. You just give us the Donbass and we'll end the war that we started to get the Donbass. Yeah, really, I didn't know that. Let's just give it to them. Let's just give them what they want. Yeah. They just want peace, man. They just want peace. Yeah, I'm sure they'll stop. This is like, listen, just give Hitler Czechoslovakia. Sure, let him take Austria. Sure, give him this, give him that. Where? No problem, man. No problem.
Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides.
And give one side what they want at the expense of the other. Give the invading army what they want at the expense of the sovereign nation that is being invaded. That's how you end a war. That is how you end a war, because that's why they started it.
Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia and sentenced to 14 years in a penal colony. Rough stuff. The previous administration barely lifted a finger to help him. They knew he was innocent, but they had no idea where to begin. But last summer, I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring
her name?
Boy safely back home. After 22 days in office, I did just that, and they are here tonight.
There's probably some deal you made behind the scenes with fucking Putin. I'm sure. Listen, a little political pawn that's sitting in your fucking modern gulag is really like no expense to you. If things are going your way, you have no reason to. You don't need this guy anymore. Get to the stock market crashing? No. Yeah, Malphine. Malphine.
Made the most extraordinary sacrifices and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love.
Oh, the Greenland comment. The Greenland comment is fucking. The Greenland comment is. In the international press is very focused on that Greenland comment he made. I knew that was not going to go well with the Europeans. The Irish Star is reporting that Trump has issued a chilling war. C-SPAN AP. Oh my! And then look how dude, look at the difference. Look at the difference in how they word this, okay? Look at you want to talk about fake news. Donald Trump issues chilling 4-word warning to Congress over Greenland. Okay? And then Fox 5 DC says, President Trump tells Greenland that they are welcome to join the U.S. if they want. Or that they are welcome to join the U.S. President Donald Trump tells the people of Greenland that they are welcome to join the United States. Do you not... That is not all he said. That is not all he said. He said they are welcome to join if they want, but we're going to still get you one way or another. We're going to get them one way or another.
Love and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free, and we will fight for it.
I agree with that.
Till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved.
We will fight with it unless too many people are dying. Then we're willing to make some concessions, okay? If like a lot of us have to die, we're willing to we need to end this thing. We'll make some concessions.
Country. Because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors.
We'll die to keep our freedom and independence, yet Zelensky needs to stop people from dying by ceding parts of his country's ceding parts of his sovereign country's territory. Yes, dude. Makes so much sense.
Our ancestors crossed a vast ocean, strode into the unknown wilderness, and carved their fortunes from the rock and soil.
AIDS gang represent, okay?
Just saying hi.
Yo, there. Thank you so much. Very generous. Hi to you as well. What's up, buddy?
Perilous and very dangerous frontier. They chased our destiny across a boundless continent. They built the railroads, laid the highways, and graced the world.
Who is our ancestors? My ancestors and Trump's ancestors came here around like the exact same time, similar experience, living amongst the immigrant populations in New York. Not some fucking cool cowboys traversing the wilderness. What are we talking about here?
World with American marvels like the Empire State Building, the mighty Hoover Dam, and the towering Golden Gate Bridge.
Trump is Jay. Okay, believe it or not, when the European migrants were coming over from Europe to New York City, they didn't have a distinct island for Jews and a distinct island for... It was all through one island. They lived in very close proximity. This is why you have like some cultural similarities between New York Jews and New York Italians, and a lot of people are like half Jewish, half Italian, because in terms of immigrants, they lived in very close proximity to one another in specific neighbor. He's not Italian. They're German and Scottish, but the new European immigrants that were coming in lived in like confined neighborhoods together.
They lit the world with electricity, broke free of the force of gravity, fired up the engines of American industry, vanquished the communists, fascists, and Marxists all over the world, and gave us countless modern wonders sculptured out of iron, glass, and steel. We stand on the shoulders of these pioneers who won and built the modern age. These workers who poured their sweat into the skylines of our cities. These warriors who shed their blood on fields of battle and gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. Now,
I really thought he was gonna like say something that was like actually gonna mean anything. War is bad. Here's these people that fucking died horribly. This is really bad that they were murdered and died. We're gonna do things like make business with ships better. I'm not really gonna go into detail about that. Yeah, let me spend half the time just talking about how bad it is that X person got murdered, how good it is that like X person runs an orphanage for the blind and deaf, that he used with his lemonade stand. I mean, it's just like things that are just like easily agreeable things that nobody really needs to have a real opinion on. Did he even talk about the stock market today? Did he? Besides, the one thing I'll say that was notable was his comments to Greenland. That was insane. If the Europeans did not think we were insane before, they think we're insane now. To be honest, not that I care that much about what they think, because they do a lot of retarded things, and we do a lot of things better than them. I hate this lame chat. Yet you're here every single night, you old decrepit bitch. So, what's the matter? Grandkids couldn't find the money for a nursing home? I think it's that time of the night, Grandma. Time to go to bed. You're sundowning. You're sundowning. You're confused. My chat is not your nursing home. Yeah, but that's the state of the... That's not the State of the Union. It's his speech to Congress. It is his speech to Congress. And yeah, I just gave my opinions on it. And I'm not going to watch the Democrat response because there's not really anything for them to really respond to at all. Did you miss your nap and bottles, Aiden? Haha, you're young. You have more life than me. You're able to win against me in arguments, and you're really young. Thanks. Thanks. Aiden still thinks America is the best country in the world after this. You're a British person type that. A British person type that. If we're looking at the overall, if we're looking at the bigger picture, yes, I think we're the greatest country in the world due to how unique we've existed as a concept. A people's united by a common system of values. From different backgrounds, parts of the world, stories, all seeking democracy, freedom, and how these things have been preserved for a long time, and how we have fucked up worse than many other countries have, but how our identity was formulated out of correcting those mistakes, at least attempting to. And, you know, I think that coping so hard. I just like, I mean, the thing I really like here is, the thing that I'm just impressed we've held for his speech, okay? Even though the conservatives like to scream it, it's like we have pretty good speech policies, laws here.
AIDS gang represent, okay?
I apologize for my grandma CV. I told her can't have me.
True. You're going in the nursing home. You're going in the nursing home, bitch. The president having this much power should not make you comfortable. I think that there are checks and balances. I think that if tomorrow he does something like exponentially, we have ways to remove him. There are checks and balances. This is, if anything, this is not a flaw with America. This is a flaw with democracy. This is a flaw with the flow of information and how social media, which I think heavily influenced the election, is such a powerful tool to sway public opinion, yet is in the hands of biased public entities. And certain things are recommended while other things, and this worked both ways at one point or another, which I think heavily skews the average Americans. I mean, I saw a tweet today that was just, if you put the words breaking in front of a tweet, people will believe it. People will believe it. Somebody put breaking. Private investigator confirms that Trump shooter Thomas Crooks did not act alone. And you go and look at it, it's some random independent guy. There's no evidence. And it got 40,000 likes. They take everything as fact. The biggest crisis in America right now is media literacy. That is the biggest problem here. Because people are firearms with false information. They don't know how to cipher through it. They don't know how to assess a claim. They don't know, they don't even know fundamental details like the fact that outliers don't negate generalizations. Okay? And that's a big problem. In Finland, apparently they teach it to kids like in elementary school. So we should be doing that. but I heavily dislike the fact it's just insane to me the shit people eat up and believe automatically. I mean, there was a tweet like there was a tweet that I forget the example. Some dude just like blatantly lied. Some article like blatantly lied and said like Mr. Beast said like it's like a skill issue or whatever. And the article didn't cite a source. He never actually said that. And some dude quote tweeted it, shit talking him, and the quote tweet got like 400K likes. And it's like there's no proof he ever said that, and he didn't say it. Hassan gets a ban, and now Aiden is trying to be a politics streamer now. I've said this before. I've stipulated this. I'm not just going to cover drama. I'm going to cover what I want to cover, when I want to cover it. If you're here just for drama, then you're not going to be satisfied with every one of my segments.
Okay?
Aiden, will you play Monopoly with Chet?
When is he playing Monopoly? Where? When? But thank you so much for the $5. Very generous. With you? If he wants to. If he wants to. Aiden is getting tariffed. I am. I'm sorry. It's happening, boys. It's happening. All right. Well, the State of the Union address took longer than I wanted to. But we're not done with the stream tonight. We have to cover, as the title says, apparently, a YouTuber, through her own negligence, allegedly accidentally caused a radiological incident and contaminated a significant area with radiation. I am not kidding you. So that's what is being alleged. I have to assess the claims. We're going to assess it now, or here. But before we do, we've been going now for about 2 hours, 30 minutes. That took a little longer than I'd like. So here's the deal. Where is it? Hold on. All right. One sec. One sec. All right. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then we get back. We're going into this radiological incident that's allegedly occurred, as well as some other drama, because the wonderful, the great, the incredible, what is this? Cable created a docket. It's like sources saw insane. I didn't even ask. He just gave it to me. So we'll be back here in a few minutes. I'm going to leave you with, I don't have a lot of new content to play, so I'm leaving you with one of my, not the morale debate, one of my more classic debates. We'll be back here in a few minutes. Taking a quick break. See you guys here. You're going to want to be here for this next one. And then, yeah. Yeah, that's... I forgot what I was about. I had to say, that's why I said, yeah, I had to say something, and then I fucking forgot what I was going to say, so...
Okay, I just want to say morale is...
Okay, Jalen just joined. What were you saying, Jalen?
What was I saying?
Yeah, what were you saying? Morale's what?
I was going to say he's a faggot. That's what I was going to say. He's a capital F faggot.
Okay.
Jalen, you do understand doing the Schrodinger's retard shit, like after a serious conversation, is probably not the best, right?
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Like, you can sit here and be all Reddit and be like, actually, hypothetically, you can't do this. I don't give a fuck.
That's
I
not
don't give a
what
fuck about
AIDS
your
gang
dumb debate
represent,
lord
okay?
tactics.
There's no, wait, that's not a debate lord tactic. He's just calling what happened. We were just making serious arguments in the chat, and now that he's in this call right now to confirm confront you. His position, you're pretending like you don't care. It's like the feigned, like, withdrawn, I'm just trolling, whatever. So, like, make your arguments that you're making in the chat now that Morale's here.
Your position is objectively wrong.
I don't think it could be objectively wrong. I feel like this is a very
objectively wrong.
contentious
You're
point.
just fucking retarded, and I think you should kill yourself, okay?
What do you think about the Cash report?
I think you are a perfect example of why eugenics is a good thing. I think people like you should be removed from the gene pool, and you should not be allowed to procreate.
Sure, Jalen, there are multiple reports that suggest allowing minors to transition isn't of itself immoral.
Yeah, that's fake news. That's
not fake news. That's why
it literally is. It literally is.
Giving minors hormones in the UK is illegal because of this.
Yeah, because of fake news.
They did studies.
Yeah, those are fake studies. You're falling for propaganda. Those are fake studies.
I don't believe it is.
They are fake studies.
Well, how is it fake? You have to follow that up with something.
Because those are fake studies. We have the actual fucking studies. Look it up.
Wait. Do you think proving a hypothesis involves like one study?
What are your studies? I'll type them in a chat GPT right now and it'll probably fucking debunk them. So what are your fucking studies?
The issue with giving ChatGPT stuff is you're going to give it to it and then be like, debunk this, and it's going to have the prejudice.
ChatGPT is objectively right though.
It's not.
It is.
So if you give ChatGPT something and say debunk this, it's going to go in with the prejudice that it has to debunk it. So it's going to get sources that debunk it no matter the validity.
Jalen, fight for your position. This is a pathetic display. You're doing the
this guy is retarded and has no fucking idea what
then
he's talking about.
Then refute his positions.
I'm not a fucking debater. I don't know what the fuck you want.
Wait, hold on.
Get Femios on here.
I'm not asking you to be like fucking Destiny. Okay, we can even do this just like a conversation, right? If he starts going debate bro mode on you, I'll call him for it. I get that not everybody's a debater. So explain to me your position on that.
Explain to me my position on this. My position is the objectively true moral fucking position.
Which is?
There is a set healthcare plan for minors with gender dysphoria. This is something that has been studied, that has been reviewed. This is something that is currently in effect the way it is for a reason. Now you want to sit here and be like, oh, well, if they take puberty blockers or if they take HRT, well, then they're going to have irreversible effects. It's the same exact consequence if they go through the wrong puberty.
Jalen, the issue with what you're saying is there isn't a end-all be-all solution. There isn't a set-in-stone solution for trans people. Multiple countries have done multiple different forms of research and they've come up with different things, like entirely. Like we still don't understand what a transgender individual is fully.
Yeah,
we don't know that.
The two options are either you transition or you kill yourself.
Okay,
so that's what you're advocating.
False dichotomy. False dichotomy.
Can I try to cook?
Do you want kids to kill themselves?
Go ahead.
Is that what you want? Are you in support of the murder of children? Do you want kids to commit
From all the
suicide?
research, sure. From all the research that I've done, being transgender is not the sole reason that transgender children kill themselves.
It is a big proponent as to why.
I have not seen any evidence to suggest that. From what I have seen, it is social ostracization. So if we want to fix transgender individuals killing themselves, we could probably stop socially ostracizing them. And when you use rhetoric like when you transition, you become ugly unless you transition when you're a minor, things like that are probably harmful because it puts in a harmful rhetoric that like trans people are ugly unless
true. It is true.
You can't just say it's true. Like you have to follow it up with something. That's how you argue for your position.
It's true because I said it.
Jalen, you're using harmful rhetoric though. These are things that could get a transgender individual to kill themselves.
Good base, good.
Okay.
My question here is, and I'm coming in as neutrally as possible. My question here is there not also studies that show like a heavy comorbidity between gender dysphoria and things like depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, autism, which like all on their own like increase like the risk for like suicidality? So how do we know whether or not like the numbers in regards to like, as Morales said, like if there are confounding variables like social ostracization or like the co-occurring disorders, like how do we know it's like the dysphoria itself that's causing suicidality?
Because when someone starts to transition, their depressive rates or anxiety tends to go down.
Do you have a response to that, Morales?
Not a direct one. There have been cases that I've been able to find where simply going to therapy can get rid of gender dysphoria.
That's
and the
called
individual
conversion therapy. That is a form of torture.
Okay, so there
Your
are cases.
studies are wrong. Your studies are flat out wrong. Those
okay, you
people
don't know
did
what
not
studies
have
I'm
gender
citing.
Dysphoria. I don't care. I know they're wrong.
Do you understand how that's probably bad faith for you to come in and say that they're wrong without you even knowing what I'm talking about?
You know what's bad bad faith the fact that you haven't killed yourself. I think that that's bad faith.
Okay, Jalen. All right, let's like tone it down a little bit here. Okay, you sound kind of mad. So
Yeah, I am mad because this motherfucker wants to come up here and act like he knows shit when he doesn't fucking know anything.
I have looked into this
You are
a lot
so
more than you
fucking
have.
full of yourself. You're so fucking full of yourself, dude.
Jalen, I've come in here with studies, with things that I want to discuss.
Yeah,
and your only
studies
response is
are wrong.
sure. Your only
studies are
response is
fucking
you
wrong.
should kill
You are
yourself. Like
wrong.
you're
Yeah, you should.
you're acting
You
all
should.
big dick and you don't know what you're talking
You should
about.
objectively kill yourself. From a utilitarian perspective, I think you killing yourself would actually impact the world in a positive way.
okay, first of all, I think he's being like compared to like transphobes that will just come in here and like make fun of you. This guy seems like he's like being pretty good faith here, and he just wants to have a dialogue about this. And the thing with contentious like social or medical issues is like having a dialogue about this like helps us know if we're getting it right. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with him like questioning certain facets of this, and he's doing it very respectfully. So I don't understand why this is like making me so
no,
angry.
I don't play this game. I'm not gonna sit here and this guy advocates for basically genocide and pretend to be okay with that. Yeah, I'm mad because this guy's a fucking retard,
To
and
be
I don't want to
clear,
sit here and listen to his bullshit
to be very
argument.
clear, I'm not
So,
advocating for
fuck,
any form of
just-
genocide.
Yeah, that is basically what you're doing. So you can
I
sit here
don't
and
think.
claim that
I
you're
don't
not,
think.
but it
Hold on,
is.
Jalen. I don't think if you don't give children who are transgender chemicals, I don't think they're just going to automatically kill themselves. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that. And I think you having that opinion that if you just don't give trans people chemicals, they're automatically going to kill themselves is extremely small-minded and honestly very harmful to what a transgender individual is. A transgender individual is way more than just hormones. There is way more that goes on with a transgender individual than just getting HRT and then growing fucking fake tits or whatever, right? There is so much more, and it is so incredibly complicated. You can't just be like, oh, if they don't get chemicals, they're going to kill themselves. That is not how that works at all.
So what, you're in favor of the whole like self-ID bullshit where it's like, oh, you don't even need dysphoria to be trans. Oh, you don't even need to transition.
I don't
to
know
be
how you
trans.
could come to that conclusion
Is
at
that the
all.
position you're in favor
I
of?
think you have to have gender dysphoria to be trans.
Mhm.
How did you get to that position where you think I thought that way?
Because it just sounds like you're retarded.
Because I said that being transgender is more complicated than just hormones?
Jalen,
I apologize. I'm extremely confused. I go ahead, Aiden.
Jalen, by not arguing for your position, you realize you're gonna like lead people to assuming his.
I don't care. I'm not a debater. I already told you I'm not here to
No
fucking
one's
debate
asking
shit.
when you say
This isn't even a debate. I just want to talk to you, dude.
it's like a
I don't
conversation.
like ever since our last conversation, you like I don't know where the malice is coming from.
It's
Why
coming
can't
from
we just
you.
have a conversation
You're
about
you're
this?
malicious. So
How am
so
I
wait,
malicious?
Hold on. So if you think like a white guy started debating a black guy and was like, actually, if you look into the data, black people have a very low IQ, or oh, black people commit more crimes. You think that it wouldn't be justified for the black person to get pissed off, even if they were being nice and respectful?
Okay, I want to use the hypothetical you've given me, right? If the black person in this case was like intelligent or smart, right? They could look at that and be like, okay, well, there is a reason that those studies exist. There is a reason why black people predominantly have lower IQs. It's because they've been put into situations which lead them to receiving lower IQs. They don't get a lot of education. They live in like harmful areas or whatever, right? I'm not saying that that's the case, but I'm just saying like in this world that or in this hypothetical that you've created, there is a situation in which the black person could have a productive conversation with the white person without it getting hostile on either end, because there could be a root of truth within the conversation that they could be having.
Yeah, that just sounds like bad faith to me.
How?
Yeah.
It's just bad faith
What do you mean?
because I say it is.
Schrodinger's troll.
Okay. I mean, I said it at the beginning. Yeah, Schrodinger's retard.
Jalen, why are you like this? You never change. You never change. You get into arguments and then like it. Why do you? All right, folks, I'm back. Sorry, I ate some real quick. Yeah, about kilo of psilocybin mushrooms. So yeah, we're in for a good stream. Anyways, I saw we got a dono while I was gone, so I'll read that out. Hopefully you didn't say anything too bad. Call Jalen right now. I'd rather not, but thanks. Anyways. Isu with the $10 with the AG4L and then another $3 with the 7. Thank you so much. And if I remember correctly, ladies and gentlemen, that puts us over. Halfway to goal. Appreciate it. Anyways. Oh, you make a very good point. You make a very good point. Oh, wait, I think Jalen blocked me. Jalen will just send me, like, the uninterrupted DMs. And then block me. And then DM me saying schizo. And then send me uninterrupted DMs. And I won't respond. And it's just bizarre. Anyways. Where were we? Ah, yes. Apparently a streamer caused a radiological incident. We have to check that out. But apparently Nick Fuentes had a response to the State of the Union. Not State of the Union. It wasn't the State of the Union. It was a speech to Congress, right?
Match was invaded by a male. He smashed the ball
Wait.
so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side,
Oh, that's
and
not cool.
ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it.
A tranny
Peyton is here
spiked the
tonight
volleyball into
in
her
the gallery, and
face.
Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will
That's
lose
not funny, though.
all federal funding.
That's not funny. She's there because someone's.
Well, I was wondering, like, like, what ball was it that hit your face so hard? You got, like, paralysis. I mean, I was saying, like, I said this. Was it, like, fucking Superman? Like Gorilla Grodd? Like, how hard do you have to throw a fucking ball? Unless it's a baseball and you're pitching. How fucking hard does a ball, like, is somebody throwing a ball at your face that it causes paralysis? I don't get it. I'm missing some. There's some detail of this story that we're all just missing. So, there's an art YouTuber. She made a negative comment about Pablo Picasso. I'm not personally a big fan of Pablo Picasso's art. I saw Guernica in person. I thought it was pretty cool, just because of how big it was in person. But not the biggest fan. But apparently, guys, Frisk here is in trouble for possibly contaminating their area with radioactive waste because they mishandled uranium paint. I am not joking. Context. Becca's art made paint out of yellow cake uranium, as well as using a uranium paint. She didn't wear the right respirator, which exposed her for, and then which someone exposed her for, and then discovered she wasn't using the right protective gear at all, and possibly contaminating her whole area. I don't give a fuck about Undertale. I'm not a radiation expert. Just don't make paint out of yellow cake fucking uranium. Yeah, so here's the problem I have with this. It genuinely depends on how radioactive the paint is. Or if she's, like, risking exposure to her whole area by virtue of it, like, being on her, or whatever the fuck. I have held a rock that had uranium in it before. And I was like, so is this like, they're like, no, it's not going to cause you any problems unless you're, like, handling it every single day. But, yeah, I think this person is just talking out of their ass. Why would you use radioactive paint? Well, it was actually quite common back in the day. It was, I forget if it was, like, glowing paint or something. I don't remember. It was common to paint, like, pottery or something with some radioactive material. And this person used it, and then this person on TikTok. This is my radiation expert. So let's check it out. Did they deactivate? No, they didn't deactivate. All right. Let's check our radiation expert. News media, please do not use my videos.
I never thought I'd have to say this. If somehow you are from mass media and you are on my page, please do not put my clips on the news. I have to get a media release from work for everything. I'm not kidding. I never thought I'd have to say this.
What? Wait, why would they... What? Why would they... They're okay with you publishing it. If you're publishing something into like the public media forum, like the news has a right to use that. Why would your work be okay? Why would your work be okay with you publishing things in a public forum and then not okay with the usage of it by the media, which is saying it's totally out of your control? I don't think they're allowed to fire you for that. I don't think that's a valid reason to fire, unless they're firing you if there was an agreement not to make these things publicized and you publicize them on this account. But if they gave you permission to publicize it on this account and the news happens to use it, I don't think that they can fire you for that. So this is our radiation expert.
Look, all I'm going to say is this. This is a question for people who deal with chemotherapy or a health physicist, not me. If we're dealing with somebody that actually has radiation sickness, their hair is the least of our concerns. All right, we have other, more pressing issues. Look, all I'm going to say...
How many... So this person works in a hospital, maybe? How many people with acute radiation sickness are you dealing with? There's at least one person in here that like works in an ER or works in a hospital. For those of you that do you ever have experience handling people with like acute radiation sickness? I'm pretty sure that's fairly rare. I'm gonna need the astrology situation, not drag things
all
out.
the astrology girlies are saying like, hey, this march is gonna be drama, the planetary setup is the same as multiple revolutions, and I'm just over here like, oh god. Do we need more right now?
So this person potentially contaminating their neighborhood is just based off of this person's statement? Is this the Oppenheimer of our generation? What's going on here? Why do we care about the paint?
So, historically, a lot of pigments have been made out of poison. Arsenic green is one. Look that up, that's wild. Lead white. Lead white was actually in makeup for a long time, and they knew it was toxic. They just didn't care because being pale was more important. You know. But, yeah, this TikTok account has been making toxic paints for quite some time. It's like a historical note, whatever. Decided to buy some yellow cake uranium and use it as pigment. Now, this is a terrible idea for many reasons. The main one is, at this point, you are officially dealing with not only a radioactive material, but an extraordinarily toxic, hazardous material, and she didn't really have any safeguards in place to...
So, okay, if the criticism is her own safety, she didn't wear proper... First of all, it depends on in what way she was exposing herself to this. Was she licking the brush? It depends on how long she was exposing herself to this, where she was disposing of it, etc., etc. But at worst, your argument, or no, like at worst, this argument is she put herself in danger, which is like not really a criticism to, like, she has a right to do that if she wants. What I care about is her handling of this material putting others at risk. And if my radiation knowledge is correct, I don't think that this material is so radioactive that by merely working with it for a brief period of time, you are potentially contaminating an entire neighborhood. There are anyone who knows anything about radiation knows that there is varying levels. Something being irradiated is not like one thing. There's varying levels to how irradiated something is, etc., etc., and that is like highly relevant here. That's highly relevant here. I don't think that this paint in particular. It is step in the process of uranium after it has been mined before fuel fabrication or uranium enrichment. Yellow cake concentrates. Very low radioactivity. Yellow cake has very low radioactivity. So it's like with X-rays. It depends. When you want to avoid exposing yourself generally to radiation, right? But like it matters how prolonged the exposure is and how radioactive it is. This is not very radioactive, but you know, I'm sure prolonged exposure is never recommended. And with X-rays, you don't have to worry about those. But the reason the technician steps out of the room is because prolonged everyday exposure, sure, may potentially cause some problems. But this seems to not be a risk to the neighborhood. So I actually held at a university geology laboratory, I was allowed to hold unrefined and rock with uranium as it was naturally mined. I was able to hold it, and I was not, by experts, told I was not at risk unless I'm consistently handling this every single fucking day, and there was no decontamination procedure or anything. Because in its natural unrefined state, you know, apparently it's not like brief handling of it is not gonna fucking kill you. So this person, now, it is hazardous when inhaled. That's a good point. So if the criticism is this person did not use a proper respirator, that is a good criticism for themselves, for their safety. But to evoke more outrage, they had to add others were put at risk. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Prove it. Others were not put at risk.
To be able to monitor her environment or herself after, which means there is a potential it has spread.
Any levels that are being spread by like yellow cake, by like virtue of it, like maybe being on your like skin, it's probably gonna be the same level of radiation you get from like being on a flight. Being on a flight. We're talking about yellow cake. We're talking about yellow cake. Any levels of radiation that people are gonna get like secondhand, it's gonna be like minimal. The neighborhood is not fucking contaminated. What an insane overreaction. This was one of those people that like knows about something and just like wants to seem like an expert. So it's like feigning moral outrage. It's like pirate software and like the going after Mr. Robot over the fucking over the cipher that the puzzle master made, how it linked to his real phone number and they put him at risk even though he did that on purpose. It's like you want to just like show off your expertise. This is not like brief exposure is not going to kill you. And if you're breathing it in, obviously that's not good. You should wear a respirator. So that's a good criticism for them to note for next time for their own safety, but exposing others, no.
You know, this is one of those things.
Okay, this is our expert. And this other Twitter account that levied these allegations is coping, saying, yeah, I'm no radiation expert or whatever. So why look into this? Why are you reiterating? It's like this is the this is like the Twitter expose format. It's like, I heard such and such did blank. Yeah, it's being alleged that such and such, like, and they all worded in the same way. Girly, that's so dangerous. You get like the same reply. I mean, / serious, like, dude, you know what I'm talking about. I can't describe it. Every time, dude. Every single... And I'm not going to be... Oh, I'm complaining about pronouns in bio. I don't complain typically about pronouns in bio. I'm complaining about it now because people who write uninformed like Twitter exposés in this format for some reason are always the ones that have it. They all source each... Exactly. They source each other. Or I heard that. Wasn't this the guy that did blank? 90,000 fucking likes. Is in trouble for possibly... Yeah, and the possibly is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. She said she used paper towels and gloves to protect her and then just threw them, paper towels and things away, which to her was proper disposal. That is not... We're talking about yellow cake. She's not working in the fucking Chernobyl reactor. What she should have done is worn a respirator because that's where it would be its most dangerous. But from like skin to skin contact, and I agree, maybe that I'm not super familiar with like I'm not super familiar with disposing of radioactive material. I'm not super familiar with like disposing of it, but I'm pretty sure like this isn't like a huge deal. Oh my, yeah, wait, OMG, is this true? It's every time, dude. You know exactly who the types are. She is not in any trouble, nor being investigated by anybody. She's an expert. Yellow cake uranium can be purchased online by anybody. You can find it outside the U.S. if you dig... outside in the U.S. if you dig deep enough. Nobody's in danger. But her lack of... Okay, yellow cake can be toxic if you inhale it. So her lack of safety, unless someone else was in the room, only put her at risk. And if you want to put your life at risk, be my guest. I only care if you're putting other people at risk. This is like writing an expose on a YouTuber who like does heroin. I don't care. Are you selling heroin to other people? Then I fucking care. That's what my thought is. They just see uranium and fear-mongering and run with it without researching the actual material. Dangerous way to go about things to be... This is how they go about things. They don't know anything about radiation. I don't know that much about radiation. I just know that radiation is such like a fear... it's such a... It's a gradient. Radiation exposure is like a gradient. And like... Just like... By merely... Like... They just hear this word and they immediately think of Chernobyl. That's not like... That's not what radiation exposure does to you all the time. That's a very extreme example. How large of an area does this put in danger? If this were the government would be on this. If this were that big of a... None. None. It's not a danger at all. Now, there was an incident I was reading about in Brazil, believe it or not, and it's actually apparently someone I know. I'm not going to dox them. It's from Brazil in the chat. You can vouch. I don't know if this is like a well-known incident there, but it was like, hold on. Yeah, this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but these dudes, like, they broke in to an abandoned hospital and they found like this old x-ray machine and they like went inside of it and found a container inside the machine with glowing blue dust. And they thought it was really cool. And they took it home and everybody fucking played with it. And this is insanely radioactive. Insanely fucking radioactive. They brought it home. A little girl at the house, she like put it on herself because it looked cool. It was like glowing blue. And yeah, Chernikov radiation. So it was glowing. It was dismantled. It was sold to people, distributed amongst people. Somebody ate after playing with it. "20 people showed signs of radiation just off of a little bit of powder." That just puts in perspective how fucking how radioactive what they were dealing with was. The wife scrapyard owner, DeVere Ferreira, and who turned the material over to the authorities. She became sick about 3 days after coming into contact with the substance. Her condition worsened, and she developed hair loss and internal bleeding, especially the limbs, eyes, and digestive tract. Suffered mental confusion, diarrhea, and acute... Okay, yeah, that's insane. They had to put the bodies in lead coffins. Dude, but that's, like, what we're doing when we're talking about, like, potentially exposing others. This was a little bit of powder. That's super fucking... how I just want to see how radioactive this is. Lot of radioactive incidents involving this material. I can't find it. But yeah, don't play with fucking glowing blue powder that you find in weird machines. Okay? That's the moral of the story. That's the moral of the story. But this is what they think is happening here. Anyways, just keep checking out this expert. This expert. This reminds me of the time, hey Lois, this reminds me of that, dude, I'm doing a Family Guy cutaway. The 1950s, 1960s US was insane. Doctors used to work for the government. I'm gonna have like one like person chapping, like they still do. Doctors used to like perform experiments on people on behalf of the government. You had like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, whatever. They injected some dude with a radioactive isotope without his knowledge, like just to see what would happen. And he was fine. Nothing, dude, he was built different. You're not my dad, don't tell me what to do. So true. Where is it? It's not just her.
Have you been paying attention? Because that's the problem. Her workspace appears common. Other people in that area could get cross-contaminated. She could track the contamination. She could have it on her hands. It's not just her, it's anyone around her. Have you been paying attention? Because that's...
I work in clinical microbiology, so different but the same. There's a reason our lab is badge access only, disposable PPE, only sinks, no hand sanitizer, etc. It is to contain the hazards. Then you are a fucking moron if you think that potential pathogens and radioactivity, regardless of level, are the same thing. Or no, she's not saying it's exactly the same, but saying like the risk is the same or whatever. That's not true. That's not true. You're working with pathogens. You're working with pathogens. Wait, I'm in Utah? What's happening? Yeah, there's a problem in Utah because of how geologically rich the state is, or whatever the fuck, where they have problems with like radon gas. It's like crazy. It is less than a plane. Yeah, that you've potentially caused a level 5 international radiation. It's like flying on a plane. Yeah. What if she had a fan that blew the dust outside, like ventilation? I didn't think about fans. OMG. Yeah, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. The amount of yellow cake she's probably using to make paint being blown outside is not going to be a big fucking deal. What do you think this is?
You know, since we...
What am I talking about? There's this big controversy, because this YouTuber made paint with yellow cake uranium, and this woman, radiation expert, is claiming that she potentially contaminated the whole area and put the whole neighborhood at risk. Yellow cake uranium emits low levels of radiation, but prolonged exposure can increase cancer risks. If it contaminates a landfill, workers or the surrounding environment could be exposed. First of all, doesn't that depend on the amount? And second of all, if we're talking about outside ventilation, whatever, isn't your main concern going to be inhalation of this material? And if it's like in a garbage bag, I guess the garbage bag gets when it gets disposed of, whatever, like the amounts they're going to be inhaling are probably nothing. You probably get like more. It's probably like more of a cancer risk, I'd reckon, to like fucking like be outside on like a badly polluted day in Los Angeles. What if she touched the handle of her kitchen faucet to wash the radiation off when she got home, and then she touched it? This is just relying on like wild assumptions, but even if that happened, if I were her friend, I would not be that worried. Unless I'm feeling immediate symptoms, I would not be that worried. It's not ideal. And it's very irresponsible.
We talked about Silkwood because somebody brought it up. The most accurate decon scene for people I've ever actually seen in a movie was in the James Bond movie Dr. No.
Dude, why are all like do all the supposed like radiation experts, like they all look bizarre? Do you remember that Sam Brinton person that was like in charge of like nuclear waste, that was like stealing like women's clothing at the airport and got like fired? You remember that person? That was the radiation expert.
So I'm at Waterford 3 doing a survey in the middle of the night. I was on night shift. And the last smears I took of this entire floor, it was a shiftly survey, was in a little valve gallery. And I'm checking the smears on a frisker, and my last couple smears, the frisker pegs out. And I go, nah. I go take more smears. They're still hot. At this point, I'm looking at my boots like, ah, shit. So I call up to the desk and go, yeah, we've lost the hallway and now I'm trapped. Please bring decon. And while I'm waiting, I
Decontamination, for those of you that can't tell.
survey the floor. Like, I walk forward and survey back to myself.
And by decontamination, I think she means a mop.
And my supervision arrives with 4 deconers, and they stop like 20 feet away. Like, how far can we go? I'm like, it's safe up to 6 feet in front of me. After anything behind me is a loss. They had cycled the ventilation, and the drains had burped. And I found it.
Ventilation? Why would you want to ventilate a room? Hello? Can you guys hear me? My connection just cut out briefly. It still emits alpha radiation, which is dangerous if inhaled. Okay, when you say alpha radiation, alpha radiation is a type. Okay, it's not more or less dangerous. What matters is the levels. What matters is the levels of exposure, the levels of radiation it's emitting. It's like saying that, like, sleeping pills are dangerous because if you eat a whole bottle of them, you could die. One sleeping pill isn't gonna fucking hurt you. So obviously, just because something can be dangerous, obviously we need to assess the. Everybody knows alpha radiation can be fucking dangerous. But we need to differentiate between Chernobyl and flying on a plane.
But yeah, that's...
I want to see the original video they were talking about.
You see, this is a fair question. Because I swear after 9/11, wasn't there like a hearing where somebody was like sitting in front of Congress or something with a vial of yellow cake, and it was such a big deal we had to go invade a country about it? Now they're just selling it to painters? What the hell?
Because yellow cake can be used, or isn't yellow cake a byproduct of the uranium enrichment process, the process you would want to go through to build a bomb. That's why they would be concerned about that, because they would think the possession of significant quantities of yellow cake could potentially be indicative of the production of some sort of nuclear bomb. So on its own, that's not what they're freaking out about. On its own, that's not what they're freaking out about. They're freaking out about what it potentially implicates, what the implications of that potentially are. It's like if you found a wanted terrorist in a truck with a unreasonable amount of fertilizer in the back of the truck. Even if there was nothing dangerous about the fertilizer, you would still be very concerned, because somebody with that quantity of fertilizer, it could be indicative of them making an ammonium nitrate bomb. Or yeah, sorry, it's from before the, yep. My point still stands. It would be, you would have that in the process of making a nuclear bomb.
What in the Back to the Future?
It's not a byproduct, it's the precursor, right? Or the...
Long video because I have no idea how long this is going to be. Let's start super simple. Everything you painted with, everything you painted on, and everything you were wearing has to go out as radioactive waste. This is non-optional. The paintbrush, your gloves, all of your fucking clothes, and your shoes. All of that has to go out as radioactive waste now. At the very least, your
Don't tell me what to do. You're not my fucking mom.
clothes have to go out as radioactive laundry. The table you were painting on, any of the equipment you were using, all of that has to now be surveyed for radioactive contamination. By
They're not going to have this disproportionate of a response over the use of yellow cake.
a professional, on professional level gear. The mask you were wearing, not only do the cartridges have to go out as radioactive waste, the mask has to be surveyed by a specific procedure for radioactive contamination. And until that it is unusable. And afterward, it has to be laundered.
The government, I consent. The individual, I consent. The people that are not getting exposed to dangerous quantities by virtue of being in contact with somebody who handled it. Well, we don't really need your consent because you're not consenting to anything. But this person doesn't consent.
Do you have access to that? Do you have access to anyone who surveyed that work area? Do you have access to anyone who surveyed that mask? Or are you still wearing that mask?
This is like an autistic meltdown.
That is likely cross-contaminated. Did you send those cards out as normal hazmat? Did you use uncontrolled municipal drains?
Yellow cake... What?
Did you put what you were wearing in your normal laundry?
Yeah, a small quantity with those levels of radiation, putting that through the laundry is not going to be a big fucking deal. The biggest risk to you is if you were handling it a lot over a significant period of time, and it's pure, not if there's a little bit of residue, handling it a lot over a significant period of time and breathing it in without a respirator. That's when it's risky. If there's like potentially yellow cake residue left on you and then you go and put it through a washing machine, it's not going to be a big deal. It's really not going to be a big deal. This is an insane overreaction. With those levels of radioactivity? No, this is an absurd overreaction.
I am being so serious right now. What you did has likely created multiple superfunds. That entire workshop you were in is now suspect. And it's not just you.
This is not a real situation. Her Geiger counter went to 4,000.
It's anyone who crosses through there. It's anything who touches anything you touch.
The government isn't going to care.
And this is deadly hazmat. Do you know how much money? Do you know the time and effort? Do you understand what you have done? Like, on waste alone, do you know how much that's going to cost?
She's about to cry. She's about to cry. She's on the verge of tears. We don't care. Unironically, you can order this on Amazon. I'm genuinely contemplating. I'm genuinely contemplating getting yellow cake uranium off Amazon, going on stream, running around the room, throwing it over myself like fairy dust, and then sending her the video. I'm contemplating it. I'm contemplating putting it into a salt and pepper shaker, putting it onto my pizza and eating it. You can buy this on Amazon. Hold on. The best one guy of all time.
My workplace has demoed multiple houses, sent multiple houses to radioactive waste depositories because somebody touched something they hadn't. And
if that person was touching fucking cesium-137 or whatever, or some other, yeah, obviously it's gonna be way different than touching yellow cake. As a you should know it varies. The danger of the radiation is based on the quantity of the radiation being emitted. And you can have very dangerous quantities and quantities that are insanely insignificant. So to do this comparison of like, oh, well, one time somebody else touched radioactive material and they had to get decontaminated. And it's like, yeah, but that could have been emitting 100 times, 1,000 times the radiation that the yellow cake was emitting.
Annihilated their whole house and
annihilated
their neighbor's house. That is the level of what you have done.
What you have you've caused a level 5. You've caused a level 5 radiological disaster.
And if you used a municipal water faucet at some point, you potentially sent that into the water chain, especially if you showered, if you did normal laundry with.
If they lived in like a major city, a major city, I hate to be that guy, a little bit of yellow cake in the water supply, unless you're like dumping a little, with that level of radiation, a little bit of it in the water supply is not gonna, first of all, wouldn't that be caught in the filtration process? I know that there could technically, the water could maybe still be irradiated. I don't even think that's true. But when water is reprocessed, I don't think the levels anyone would be exposed to like mean anything.
What you were wearing. It is.
Millions are decaying as we speak. Dude, people are like at home. I'm like downplaying this, and there's some guy at home that like lives in her city, and his like face is melting off right now as we speak.
This serious. And yes, I reported you to the NRC because it's not you anymore. You have proven beyond a shadow.
Dude, they're literally just like not gonna give a fuck. I'll make a bet. They're just not. They're gonna be like, this bitch is insane. This bitch is insane. I've reported you to the NRC. We need to lock you in a lead coffin while you're still alive.
Shadow of a doubt. You do not understand the hazard. You do not understand the control processes. You do not even understand what PPE
I wish I could see her original
you need, or the training to even use that PPE. What you did is...
Imagine, if you will, a world so nightmarish that the unsubstantiated claims of a person that looks like this, regardless of their proven credibility relating to a subject, is what dictates whether or not 90,000 people will smear your entire existence and reputation or not. Now, I want you to realize, my friends, that that is the world you are living in. The world you are living in is where an individual like this is the social judge, jury, and executioner. They can accuse you of causing the next Chernobyl, and they don't need any fucking evidence.
So dangerous. And it's not just you. You have potentially inspired people to do this and create
There's gonna be copycats.
a chain of contamination.
We're gonna have copycat. A chain of incidents. It's gonna be a global pandemic of people just buying this dust. Hashtag dust out for. Hashtag dust out for Argon. I'm gonna get one of those like artificial like I'm gonna get like a fog machine and put it in the fog machine. Just blow it all over my room.
Environments. And without seeing your respirator card, I am not convinced you have fit. You've been exposed.
Why do you need to see anything? Who are you? You're a random person on the internet. Why do you need to see anything? Nobody needs to show you anything.
I guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you have been exposed.
Yes, wait, obviously. Yeah, no shit, she's been yeah, if you're working with radioactive, of course you're going to be exposed. What matters is the level of radiation you're being exposed to. Aren't you, like, technically always being exposed to radiation if you live in, like, a major metropolitan area? You're always being exposed. Obviously, the level of radiation is what fucking matters.
And you are not going to know it until about 20 years down the line
Whoa,
when you
come
start
on.
getting some really strange health effects.
Oh, come on.
And I'm not going to tell you I'm sorry. Because you did this to yourself.
Are you serious?
You have poisoned yourself. And these are slow burn poisons.
Are you serious?
And they are bone seekers. You are
with that level of radiation, she's not gonna get bone marrow cancer. Are you? This has to be a troll.
Toxic heavy metals that once they get into you, some of it's not coming out, and it's not coming out forever, and you have no controls in place. A vent hood is not a control. The mask you are wearing
for that level of radiation, a little like shitty like Hello Kitty fan that you bought at fucking Target is enough control for that level of radiation. Your old COVID mask that for some reason you're reusing, even though it's not reusable, and like a shitty like half-broken Hello Kitty fan that you bought, and like some soap and water is probably gonna be just fine, just fine. Her in 20, listen, she's gonna be alive in 20 years, kicking her feet, watching this back while she's died from like diabetes. You've put things into your body that once they're there, not all of it's coming out.
Is not a control. The gloves you are wearing were not a control. You do understand that when it comes to these hazards, the PPE is specifically designed and calculated. Because hazards can go right.
What? Specifically designed and calculated for what? Yeah, obviously you're gonna, the level of PPE you wear is gonna be hinging upon the levels of radiation you're being exposed to. That's what differentiates gloves and a respirator from a full fucking hazmat suit. No shit.
Through the wrong gloves. And maybe you got lucky. But maybe you got lucky. That work environment you were in is contaminated. And I don't know where you sent the waste. But unless you had access to a radioactive waste chain, which is very expensive, you sent the waste to the wrong place. And you have created an ongoing cascade of Superfund sites. If I were you, I would self-report to the NRC right fucking now.
Dude, this is not a real person. This is not a real person. We're talking about insanely low levels of radiation. I mean, this is not a real... Unless you're, like, directly inhaling the powder, it's not gonna be a problem. And if you are inhaling it, it's going to be a problem just for you.
As well as your local agencies. Because that might save you criminal charges. Because that is now what we're dealing with. We are dealing with potential illegal dumping of an extreme hazmat. I am so serious. I reported you to the NRC, and I hope like hell they pay attention to my email and they realize what you have done.
Oh, I didn't realize I was muted. I didn't. Listen, problem? We're gonna do the whole stream like this. So, yellow cake is so not radioactive that it seems like it's only really, it's one of those. So there's radiation. And I'm not gonna claim to be an expert on this, but there's radiation that just by virtue of like the rays being exposed to your skin can penetrate and cause harm. And then there's radiation that's really only a risk if it's getting into your body somehow. And that's either through an open cut, ingesting it, or inhaling it. And this is one of those where it seems to only be a risk if you're like ingesting it or inhaling it. So she could have potentially like got a little bit of dose just by inhaling it. But I don't think it's really going to be a huge deal for her. And then especially for in an outside environment, if it's ventilated to the outside, yellow cake, nobody's at risk. Nobody's at risk. This is fear mongering. This is just not true. But United Nuclear essentially says, this is a website that sells it for $19. Use normal laboratory safety precautions when working with yellow cake. Inhalation or ingestion of the dust particles may be harmful. I get a more intense warning from a pack of cigarettes. And the inhalation of yellow cake is chemically toxic. Not so there's radiation, and then there is just by virtue of the metal itself toxicity. And it seems like the risk of you'd be more put at risk just by virtue of it's like poisonous or it's toxic to consume, like a lot of metals are, more at risk by virtue of that than the actual radioactivity of it.
I hope they find you. I hope they charge you. And there's a pretty good chance you fucking specifically, are on the hook for the bill, for the disposal, for the man hours. You're looking at millions of dollars.
This is we're millions? No, that's not true.
Long video.
I could buy this right now. I could buy this right now. I could buy, if you can, I'm pretty sure if you consume like copper, you can get copper poisoning, right? Or copper toxicity. It's toxic in that sense. In the radioactive sense, it is so minimally radioactive that that's going to be what's more likely to kill you than the fucking radiation. So just like don't eat it or inhale it. Just use like normal, like wear a mask, wear gloves. Um, it is 238, not 235. It's alpha particles, not beta particles. Yeah, so don't alpha... Listen, it's been a while since I took science. There's alpha decay, beta decay. Beta decay is literally... Beta particles are like shot out as a byproduct, right? Hold on. If I remember this correctly, it's been a while. Yeah, okay, so the thing with beta... Okay, yeah. So what I was saying before, some radiation is more dangerous just by being in contact with it because it can penetrate the skin versus some radiation is only really dangerous to you if you're like getting it into your body. Beta radiation seems to be the type that can it penetrates further. So even you can be significantly exposed. Alpha is still dangerous, but you can be like significantly exposed even if you're not consuming it or breathing it in. This is not. I mean, your clothes, your skin is probably not penetrating that. My friend's a chemist. I'm gonna show him that. Yeah, alpha particles are stopped by the skin. Alpha particles do not... This is what I was saying before. I didn't realize that this was a differentiation in alpha and beta particles. Alpha particles don't penetrate the skin. So by touching it, you're not really going to have a lot of problems. Unless you're like touching it and then licking your fingers. Then you're going to get exposure to however radioactive the thing is. But it's not even that radioactive to begin with. So even if you are exposing yourself to it by like licking your fingers after working with it, you're probably not, it's not going to be like a whole lot of radiation. Her protective gear is literally just a button down. Maybe it was protective gear on the... So this is how retarded these people are. This is alpha, this is alpha radiation, not beta radiation. If she was naked and just not, and had a regular PPE mask on and was just literally naked, she would still, that's enough protection because beta particles penetrate the skin. Alpha radiation doesn't. So this bitch is like just trying to inject herself into this story. She knows nothing.
This is an MSA Ultra Twin.
You don't need... Let me call it... Okay, he's gonna call in and flush the toilet, interrupt my riveting segment, and I'm gonna go cry. Watch. The funny joke happening again. I'm calling... Hello? The toilet's about to flush. Yeah, the toilet's about to flush. You're about to be hilarious. I just heard it open.
What are you talking about?
You're about to flush. I hear the echo of your bathroom. You're in the bathroom right now.
No, I'm not. I'm in my office. I just got off stream.
Your office, yeah.
Yeah, I just got off stream and someone DM'd me. Yeah, you obviously heard, right?
Heard what?
The Cheeto new video.
I was told there was a new video. I didn't know what was in it.
You didn't... Dude, how have you not gone over this yet? You're the top fucking A-log.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah, it was revealed in the video that...
Go fuck yourself. Tell us about Kai. Tell us about Kai. Tell us about Kai. He's lost phone and privileges.
Yeah, so anyway, you don't deal with this kind of deadly hazmat unless you have a lot of programs in place.
Deadly hazmat.
One of which is a respirator cleaning program. You need a disposal chain for those carts because they have to go out as radioactive waste when you're dealing with radioactive waste. But also, laundering respirators is a whole thing, and they have to be surveyed before they are laundered. And there is a very, very set industry procedure on how these happen. Unless you have the ability to access someone who can survey a respirator for the contamination you're dealing with and a process to clean that without destroying it.
Aiden, please buy some and do the fairy bit and send it to her. Getting leukemia just to get an own.
So there's
Dude, so many people are like hitting her up for like serious
nuclear
advice on like volcanoes and radiation.
are called chemical decon, where basically they inject a potion into the primary coolant system. It flushes through the primary coolant system and makes gook stuck to the inside of the pipes release. That then flushes through the pipe.
So they use a chemical to clean radiation from the pipes. They decontaminate it. They use a chemical to... Yeah, let's just say this in the most complicated way possible, so I can sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Alpha, beta, gamma, neutron, right? So when it comes to uptake, when it comes to inhalation, the one we're worried about is alpha. Alpha's the one that can just beat the unholy crap out of your lungs. That is why we're so concerned.
Well, that's one of the only three ways, or actually four if I think about it, that's going to do anything to you, because it's alpha. So unless you're consuming it, getting it in a cut, putting it in your fucking eyes, rubbing it into your eyes, putting it up your asshole, okay? That's the only way it's going to do anything at all.
About radon in basements and stuff. Radon's an alpha emitter. Beta gamma really can't do that much to your lungs. And you just kind of inhale and exhale it. A lot of the daughter products of uranium are beta gamma.
Beta can do a lot. This thing is very radioactive. That's what would get you from not even inhaling it. That's just what would get you by like mere touch exposure. Right? So obviously she can acknowledge that there are levels.
Emitters. And if they do manage to get airborne, you're just going to inhale and exhale them freely. Now, there's exceptions. Like radioactive iodine, that's not great. That's not a good case scenario. But generally speaking, like low levels of airborne beta gamma, we just want to decrease your stay time around it. Because next to me or inside me, it's doing the same thing. Alpha, beta. Now to really make you think about something. Because the thing about radiation protection and a lot of hazmat is we don't want common sense, because common sense...
I want to see the original video.
There's two schools of thought here. One is the issue with radioactive...
Wait, fuck, I missed it. I want to see the cope.
Okay, so there's two schools of thought here. One is the issue with radioactive material is, yes, it's radioactive, and that is one problem. The other problem is the majority of radioactive material are heavy metals.
Yes, so the main problem with what she's using is by virtue of it being a heavy metal, not its radioactivity. And you're a radiation expert, right? So its toxicity by virtue of it being a certain heavy metal is not really your area of expertise. You can have certain types of or they don't make them anymore, but like regular everyday things that you handle, regular everyday metals that you're totally okay handling, can be toxic if you're exposed to like certain quantities of it. But that's by virtue of them being these toxic metals, not radioactive.
So when you're thinking about protection against them, you have to think of it a lot like lead. Is a vapor cartridge going to protect against an airborne heavy metal? I'm not an expert in this, but if I saw this in the field, that would be an immediate stop work. The other side of this is you have to remember, when you wear a respirator, you are slowed down. You're going to be more exposed because statistics show that wearing a full-face negative respirator decreases your workplace efficiency by like 15
I want to see the original spurg
So
out.
any task you...
I'm trying to find the original spurg out. Light skin ass curls, my dude. What is that even? What? Here it is. This is it. This is it. This is the first video, the one that kickstarted it all.
For the first time in my life, I had to report somebody to the NRC.
Did they do anything? Did they care? They didn't even call you back.
This person decided to make paint out of yellow cake uranium. But that's
Wait, that's a perfectly... What?
not what this video is about. It's about the respirator. I've
That's-
done some digging.
That's totally appropriate for working with yellow cake. That's totally okay. The only problem with this is breathing it in, or people are like, oh, well, this just shows you, like, how uneducated the fucking mob is. The whole problem is when they're going after this, oh, well, she's just wearing a button down. That's because it's alpha radiation, not fucking beta radiation. It's not going to penetrate the skin.
This respirator's the wrong shape. These carts? I don't know what kind of cart that is, but I think those are vapor carts. The thing about respirators is the cartridges are targeted to a specific hazard. And if you're wearing the wrong one, all you've done is increase your work time around the hazard because it reduces your work efficiency.
What?
And radioactive materials have specific cartridges.
But that would be that would be like, if you're working a little slower, we're talking about a difference of like 2 hours versus like, and with something this minimally radioactive, the levels of exposure, I think, that are going to be super harmful are going to be like for over a way greater and prolonged period of time than that.
They're always round. What the hell are you wearing? Are those vapor carts?
There are radiation protecting cartridges that look like that. Let's just try this. Radiation protecting... Fuck. New keyboard for my birthday. Respirator. Okay, we're not looking... Okay, so the first thing she says is, they're always going to be round. Well, this is not for radiation specifically. It being round or not is not going to change. Huh? Yeah, that's what she's wearing seems to be totally fine. This woman is insane. This woman is insane. She has control over your life.
For the first time in my life, I had to report somebody to the
No, I want to skip ahead.
NRC.
No. Fuck, I can't.
For the first time in my life, I had to report somebody to the NRC. Of yellow cake uranium. But it's about the respirator. I've done some digging, but I think those are vapor carts. And if you're wearing the wrong one, all you've done is increase. And radioactive materials have specific.
She already said this
cartridges.
person's autistic.
They're always.
Aiden would be the most respected and cool science teacher. Yeah, dude. Not my thing. I wanted to be a history teacher. I wanted to be a lot of things. God, I used to have dreams, man. I used to have dreams, and I got stuck doing this shit. I'm kidding. I have fun. I have fun. You're a fool reporting to the National Radiation Committee. She's not working with radioactive isotopes. She's working with depleted non-radioactive stock. Yeah, 2 grams of yellow cake mixed in oil. Because the problem is, the concern would be, because it's alpha radiation, I said before, the concern is the dust getting into the air and you breathing it in. If it's being mixed in oil, it's not going to take the form of the dust that you're going to be breathing in. So at that point, you're going to have a paint, like the semi-liquid paint, and then at that point, the inhalation wouldn't be the problem. It would be licking it. It'd be licking it. Yeah, that's a great point. The problem is when it becomes airborne. Your concern is when it becomes airborne as a dust in the air, accumulates as a dust in the air. Especially if she's mixing it into oil in the form of paint. Too many people in these comment sections are arguing with the experts. This is the fucking this is like the fucking dangerous thing. Somebody can just claim to be an expert on something. Somebody can just claim to be an expert on something. Try hit up my old science teacher. I want to hit up my old science teacher. Oh my god, that would be such a. I've always been thinking about reaching out. That'd be such a good excuse to contact him. My old science teacher actually became a science teacher for 2 years, hated it, and then went back to working in a lab. He was a very young guy. He worked for the government, and he was such a G, and I hate to admit it, I was not, it's been annoying to him at times, places where I should not have been. Because there was this other kid in the class that was just such a dude. I could go into this story for ages. I mean, but yeah, I should hit him up, dude. I literally just asked him outright one day, "How do you make meth?" And he told me, and he said, "Yeah, we actually have some of the stuff in this room, and you could get red phosphorus from matches." I'm not trying to do a Breaking Bad. He literally just answered me because I asked like as a joke about Breaking Bad, and he answered me. He told me how to make meth. Groomed into meth. Yeah, yeah. We smoked a bunch of meth. Groomed. So true. All right, how long have we been live? 4 hours. Okay, we did a full length. Good. Better than 2. All right. Well, I gotta eat dinner. I'm very hungry, and I'm gonna try and go to bed. So, with that being said, we, yeah, I might be live tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys once again so much for watching. And until next time. I'm sure he appreciates you telling the internet for asking. I didn't tell you who he was. Until next time.